Trust the guardians, trust the guides, trust the open and what's inside. When the moon is high, it's time to fly. Open your mind, let it all unwind. Let's get disengaged, time to engage. Turn another page, free from your cage. Get disenraged. When you feel like you've had enough and the week was busy and tough, you need a break, you need some fun, you need to take time from the run. We'll blow your mind, we're just in time. Seek and ye shall find. Time to unwind, let's get disenraged. Time to engage. Turn another page, free from your cage. Get disenraged. Aliens, ghosts, spirits and shadows, spirituality, ultra reality, the Bible, the pagans, all the conspiracies, tarot, astrology, and alternate history. Open your heart to other possibilities and get disenraged. Time to engage. Turn another page, free from your cage. Get disenraged, 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 disenraged.
Hello, happy Tuesday, Jennifer. How are you?
Happy Tuesday, Karlyn. I'm good. I'm chilling. We had some beautiful, like, cool, rainy day, and it makes me just want to snuggle up and
So we had
not
a warm
do anything.
we had a warm day. It was a hot ass day.
Oh yeah.
The last couple days have been hot, and I'm like, it's like not even really summer yet. Is this what it's gonna be like all summer? It's just like, oh, I don't know. Like, I complain in the winter when it's cold and it snows and stuff, but at the same time, I'm like, I would take the cold any day over the heat because, like, with the cold, I have a heater right here that also does cool air sometimes, and it's blowing cool air right now, but it's just not as satisfying as sitting right next to a heater. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
They're like the effing best thing ever. And so
When you
I'm
say hot, what's hot to you?
well, I mean, that's might be relative. I'm honestly not even sure how hot it was today, but it was very sunny and it felt like a day that I was supposed to be at the beach or having a barbecue or something. And it was deeply confusing for me because this is one of those rare days that I actually left the house. And I was like,
what was it like?
this is the outside. The people are NPCs and I don't like it. I don't like it when I go around like people outside. It's like I feel like, okay, this is probably awful to admit. When I'm outside in the world, I feel like I'm detached from my body a little bit, and I feel like I'm kind of like I'm an alien in like a foreign land, and I feel like I can't relate to any of the people. I have no idea how to even talk to people anymore. Like I was like on Facebook the other day because I got a stupid notification or something, and I'm like seeing all my family members do like completely normal things, and I'm like, I have no fucking clue how to even relate to you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a little, like, my own personal submarine, and I'm flying through, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm looking out the windows at the creatures out there, you know, and
And I just don't give a fuck anymore when I go outside the house. I'm like, I walked out today. I just left the shower. My hair was still fucking wet. I didn't bother to blow dry it. Like, I'm just like walking around in a t-shirt, like my exactly what I'm wearing now, cut off t-shirt and leggings and all this stuff. And like, I don't give a fuck. And I feel like I'm just like in this foreign land where I'm like observing the people of the world. And
I'm here on assignment to observe your kind.
yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe we can start trading or something like that. But I'm gonna go back to the internet now when I go inside my house.
Well, it's a little spooky because it's almost like you develop a little agoraphobia, living and working at home, and you start kind of getting a little like, I'm going to go out and it's going to be big.
Yeah.
And there's going to be lots of people. And so I do a lot of shielding these days when I leave now.
I've been thinking about like, so Victor and I have been talking about, I'm actually trying to get Victor, and this is not Victor that Victor won't do it. It's more that we just don't plan it and talk about it. I'm like, Victor, let's go do some date stuff. Like, let's go to the amusement park that's like a half hour away from us that we've never been to. As like, I mean, I've been to it. But like we've never been to it together. We've been married for almost 14 years. Maybe, and it's like literally right over. I can throw a rock and hit this fucking amusement park. Let's go to this fucking amusement park or like spend a day there. Or I've been thinking a lot lately about like I love the fair. I love the fair to like an unreasonable degree.
Like county fair kind of stuff?
The county fair or like the big state fair. Just because it's just such a spectacle. And there's just so much like it's just like it's so kind of like I don't know what it is. It's a very comforting environment. But there's so many people at the fair. And there's so many crazy people at the fair and like low vibe people at the fair. And I'm just like, I don't know if I could handle it,
It's the only place you can get funnel cake too. So I mean,
yeah, and deep fried anything.
They do. It's true. I'm scared of because I noticed that we're actually kind of narrowing down the towns that we're looking at in the Knoxville area, and there are two that are our favorites, and it's right near. One of them is like a hop, skip, and a jump, literally from the county fairgrounds, and I'm like, oh, we might, because like we're actually right next to our Jefferson County Fairgrounds. We're right behind it, but they don't do state fairs here anymore. They move them to a different place. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, we're going to be like 10 minutes away from the fairgrounds if we go to that little that city.
Oh man. You guys could do parking on your front lawn for like $30.
Right? Yeah. Right. That's and I that's what I kind of did today. I just sort of looked at houses and I actually found awesome houses on crappy pieces of land or awesome land with shit houses. And I'm like, I need peanut butter to meet chocolate here. Let's do this together. Come on. Good house, good lawn, affordable.
You only need one. You only need to find one perfect house.
Yeah, it's
good
true.
Piece of land. So you're moving. I didn't realize you were moving. I think you probably told me this, and I probably just forgot, or I didn't put two and two together at the same time. So I didn't know you were moving to the Knoxville area. Do you know who lives in Knoxville?
I have been informed by the minions that Mr. James Lindsay.
James living so now just for the internet, Jennifer is moving to Knoxville just to be my spy on James. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I didn't know she was moving to the Knoxville area until like 5 minutes ago. But obviously this was a pre-planned move, and the only reason you're moving there is to spy on James Lindsay for me.
Supremely. Well, I mean, uproot my whole family, my parents, my husband, myself, from our dream house here in Colorado with the most perfect view ever.
It is a good house with a good view. It really is. It's a great. You would not
believe
house.
What we just found out it's worth either. I couldn't believe it.
Really?
You could have knocked me over with a feather.
Good. In a good way, right?
Yeah, but it makes me mad because, it's one of those moments, Karlyn, where you're like, I don't support the machine. I don't want to be part of the machine. But I really want that money.
Hey, listen, I bought my house in 2011 and it has doubled in value in the time that I've owned it because housing in New Hampshire has gotten so constricted that it's like, and I'm sure I could even actually sell it for more than double. And it's not even in great shape. Like there's definitely things we need to fix up around the house, but like we could so I'm like, man, I mean, I don't want to move and I'm not like, we're not planning on it, but if I ever did need to move, I would be okay about it.
We're officially over twice the value now.
Yeah, that's a nice feeling.
I guess I'm just like, I feel bad. It's like I just don't think it's
Why?
worth that much, but it is, I guess. I have a hard time understanding the value of things, I guess. Like I think I don't like putting people or inconveniencing people. This is a case where I'm going to get over that pretty easily.
Yeah.
But it's like gosh, it just makes me mad that normies can't just come in and have this stream now. It
Yeah.
really is for the elites, in many ways.
Well, your house is in a great area. It's got an
Yeah.
amazing view. Like
Yeah.
you can't buy that view. And so it's
No.
just like, I mean,
Well, you can for 10% above the value, apparently, we've
well,
been told.
hey, well, there you go. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's kind of money is just a value exchange. It is what people are willing to pay for it, right?
Yeah, it's what you think it's worth. And yeah, so I guess I feel so dirty. But on the other hand, it's like, but I really want that money.
Yeah, well, you're gonna
Well,
get that money and it'll probably you'll probably sell like that.
I think so. The gal that's going to be, in fact, the gal who was our realtor who came and looked at it. Her husband's in lending, and they're friends of friends, and now we're becoming friends, and they're also moving to the Knoxville area
Oh, that's
around the
nice.
same time. Yeah, so we'll have already like 2 sets of couple friends out there, and then plus a lot of you guys in the community are nearby, and we've got some other really good friends from Colorado that moved closer, so like 2 to 4 hours away. So we're actually going to be probably a lot more active socially than we are here.
That'll be nice. And also, I mean, you know that's like that area, my understanding is like a highly active area for like ETs and stuff like that, like aliens.
Ooh, I hope
So
so.
that'll be
That'd be
nice.
cool.
That's
I
what I've
do
always
think
heard.
I do think there's something hovering over the mesas out here. I have been watching several nights a very bright light that doesn't move, just hovering above the mesas, and it'll be there for like an hour.
Huh.
And it's I've seen it in 2 different spots. It's the same size, it's just a white light. It's too far away to be like it can't be a street light because there aren't any on the mesas.
Hmm.
So I don't know. It's interesting because I always said I'm gonna see a mothership from that window one of these days.
Yeah,
So I
probably true.
wonder.
It's gonna
That'd be
be your
cool.
last day. It's gonna be after you've already sold the house and they can't break the contract anymore, and then all of a sudden the aliens are gonna show up like right outside your house and you're gonna be like, deuces. Enjoy. I'm going to Tennessee.
Can you use your beaming tech to like move my stuff for me?
Oh, wait, look, we have a friend on the channel, Jeff. I look at this. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever that this crazy woman is into spirit channeling. Gee, what gave you whatever gave you that impression that I might be into spirituality? How could you possibly have sussed this out from the content on my channel? Like,
So only one
why
of us
do
is
this?
crazy. I'm kind of offended, Jean, with an X. I want to be
Yeah.
crazy too.
Yeah. What are you even doing here? Did you seriously just wait 5 minutes to subscribe to my channel just to be like, I can't believe you think about channeling spirits. Don't you have anything better to do? Like, why waste time on this? Go watch something else. People on the internet, Jennifer, I swear to God. But I also can't speak down to people like that in the real world. See, this is the real problem. It's like when people behave like raging retards in the real world, I can't be like, fuck you, and you're wrong for reason X, Y, B, and Z. And let me tell you all, and you're a horrible person. And why don't you just shut the fuck up and go away? And no one wants to hear from you. And I like if I ever said that in the real world to someone, it would be frowned upon. But on the internet, it's totally fine.
Yeah, it is fun. Well, you're not face to face with anybody. That's
Mhm.
part of the magic of being on the internet in the internet safe space. If
I
you
probably
will.
still get karma for it. I should be like, bro, fuck you with love. No one wants you
love.
here. Go away. With love. Go the fuck away.
Or open your mind, man, and see what's what, and just learn about it instead of being a dick about it. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, maybe you actually see the people that complain about it, like they secretly watch everything and they secretly want to be able to do it and they secretly want to be able to read tarot cards and they don't realize that they actually can do these things. They really can. You can do them. It's not
Yeah.
secret hidden knowledge, but
In fact, you're probably already doing a lot of spiritual practices and you don't even know it because we're sort of wired for it.
so true. Well, I haven't even shown you what we're going to be watching tonight. I just told you we were going to be doing a show about channeling.
I was watching your stream today and I didn't understand a lot of it because I had it on as I was doing other things.
It had subtitles.
I know, but I wasn't reading the subtitles, but I was just
Yeah.
listening and then I could kind of glean what was going on by your commentary. And every now and then I'd switch over, but I was looking at houses and properties while I was listening to it. And that was just my jam today. But I did catch the end, and I know what we're doing, and I know we're seeing Daniel.
We are seeing Daniel. So I have 3 videos. And it wasn't intentional that it was another Daniel video. It was just that, like, I think Daniel is in my algorithm now, and so Daniel came up when I was looking at channeling.
Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah, so I got a couple Eckhart Tolle videos. So, like, he's got a couple videos about channeling specifically. The first one is outer space beings and channeling spirits.
Ooh.
And the second one,
Eckhart Tolle.
see, I haven't watched Eckhart Tolle in like a long time. I don't even. I mean, I'm like, I'm sure he's great, but like, and a lot of people really like him. I just haven't really watched him in like a long ass time.
Wonderful.
The second video I have is what is your view on angelic forces? And this has information about channeling as well. So that's why I picked that. Also, people have been asking me. I almost did it. I was actually started by looking for videos about angels because people keep asking me to do stuff about angels. And so I'm like, and I end up getting sidetracked when I look for videos about angels. So this is actually the first video. And I was like, well, why don't we do a general channeling one? And then I found this interview with Daniel, and it's specifically channeling for beginners, how to channel and connect with your spirit guides. And I was like, this is perfect. We get to learn how to channel from Daniel. And I know because I've been on his website and I've like perused his content. He has a whole bunch of classes about channeling. Like he has a lot of on-demand content where you can like learn to channel from him. And he's like self-taught. And so, you know, I'm sure that influences how he teaches people this stuff. But I've always wanted to learn how to channel. I'm a little afraid of it because like I'm a control freak and I don't like stepping. I don't like the idea of like stepping away, which I know is something that you need to do when you channel. That skeeves me a little bit.
There are degrees, I think, to it because I have channeled and I have never completely removed myself, but I haven't fully given into the process. I've let them connect and filter through my mouth, if you will, but I haven't ever just gone and let them have me.
So what does that feel like when you channel? Because I feel like I obviously know like I obviously like I have like my intuition is better than most. I think I know when spirit is like sending me messages. Sometimes, maybe not all the time. But I feel like I don't understand what it's like to channel.
It's, you know, when you are doing a really good tarot reading,
yeah,
and you're just getting the messages and everything is kind of lining up.
Yeah.
It feels
happens
like
every once in a while. Okay.
Yeah, every now. So it's basically I feel like I've got almost a tube of light connecting to me. This is just my own way to maybe help with the visualization, and it just kind of shoots into me, and then I speak for them. The word I just interpret, like I don't interpret. I speak the words in the voice that I hear. And so kind of like how the medians are like, okay, he's saying this, he's saying that. It's kind of like that. There was one time though that I put on like a full Jamaican accent and beyond my control because apparently there was this Jamaican woman who wanted to come through and speak to a friend of mine, and it was so when I was done, I'm like, that was hilarious, and they're like, that was really interesting.
Wow.
But I mean, it does feel like there is something present, and it's almost like a low vibration. There's almost a sound effect to it because I'm very tactile and 5 sense oriented. So I get lots of different sensations, but it feels like you're just in the zone. You are being talked to, sent, used, you know. It's almost like being a marionette, but I was still present and I controlled the duration of it. I have not let go completely. Now, some people might say that's not really channeling. That's maybe more interpretive talking. Fine, whatever. But just there are different degrees. If you aren't comfortable stepping aside, you don't have to completely. It may not be as good though. I don't know.
I think the closest I've probably gotten to that is like so if I'm trying to like work out I had this one instance where I was trying to work out a problem with someone and I was trying to kind of like reverse engineer, like something had happened between me and them, and I was like, what the fuck actually happened? Like, what is the actual, because it was like, you know, I knew I was not getting the whole story. And so I tuned into their energy, and it was one of those times where just like it felt really like very, very connected.
Yeah.
And I had, this sounds crazy and I understand this, a whole conversation with them where it wasn't coming from me, but like blocks of text were appearing in my head and I could hear them saying it. And it was like a whole back and forth conversation. Is
like
that kind of like
a data stream?
Yeah.
It's like that. Yeah.
And And I was like, why did you do this? And they were like, well, reason X, Y, B, and Z. And I was like, okay, well, that actually is eerily close to like making sense. Okay, fine.
Yeah. I think like, so after we go through this move, I have this checklist because I love checklists. It's my jam. And I have a checklist of after we move, I want to kind of reconnect with my spirituality. I have a really lovely, you've seen it, my altar that I never use.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that stuff. And I kind of want to get back into celebrating the seasons, get into the rhyme and rhythm of the Sabbats. And channeling is kind of on my list, along with getting back into higher meditation, because I got into really heavy higher meditation. Then I had that experience with visitation that scared the shit out of me. So I went, nope. And but yeah, I think that'd be really fun, because if I can really nail it, then maybe I can be the medium. I don't know, but I know I can do it.
That would be amazing. If you could be a medium and we could channel Hitler through you, Jennifer, that would be we're gonna be like, we're not going into the fucking kiddie pool. I'm gonna be like, Jennifer, we're channeling Hitler, reading number 1.
An Elvis or somebody nice. So I am kind of considering taking that on. I think it would be really cool.
I think that'd be cool too. And that would be a great story though, Jennifer. If you ever become like a famous channel and you're the one going on all of these shows, they can be like, who did you first channel? And you could be like, Hitler.
Yep. And I also write spicy romance, so check that out.
You could write a World War II Nazi spicy romance. That's
no.
Really
don't give me any more ideas, Karlyn.
That's a really good idea. You could write a spicy Hitler World War II Ava Braun romance where Ava Braun and Hitler had this illicit affair, and they had to pretend that they weren't together and it wasn't a thing, but they were always together and it was always a thing, and kind of like everyone knew about it, but no one was allowed to talk about it because Hitler didn't think it would be good for his image.
I am not writing a book with Hitler in it, Karlyn. That is not happening.
Yeah, what about like a Hitler-like character though? What about like a lower Nazi?
You know what? I would probably take the Gene Roddenberry route and discuss it through an alien civilization or an elven civilization or something metaphorical, not literal, just because that would be a lot more comfortable for me. And I don't think I know enough about Nazi culture to write it true to life, that the verisimilitude would be present.
We could have the Groypers test read it.
Time travel Nazi spicy romance. Okay, Jenny.
You don't have to write a romance about Hitler. It's fine.
I don't hate it, but no, this is why I love Gene Roddenberry and Star Trek so much, is he would take current issues like that and put it in an alien race context. So it wasn't in your face, this is about racism, but it does show you it is about racism and the futility of it, because he had that one episode where the people had one half of their face was black and the other half was white. And the race that they hated had the same thing, but it was opposite sides. So the left half was black and the white on the right, or the left was white and the right was black. And they hated each other because their color was on the wrong side of the face. So like he had a way of making points, and that I could get behind. And like, my latest book that's coming out in 3 weeks is The Handmaid's Tale in Space, essentially.
That sounds actually pretty great. I would read that.
Yeah. That's what I'm going to market it as, because that's what 5 of the 7 people who've read it have called it, Handmaid's Tale in Space.
That actually sounds pretty fucking great, honestly.
I think it's fun.
Cool. All right. Well, should we get into the videos, and we'll start with the Eckhart Tolle videos and finish with Daniel?
Anything to get away from Hitler and the Nazis.
Hitler romance, Hitler boudoir.
That just makes me think of the freaking Springtime for Hitler in Germany.
Nazi boudoir.
Yeah.
It'd be a great little power. I'm just saying. Okay. I'm gonna stop. Okay, Jennifer,
you could do that.
No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna. I've never written an erotic fiction, Jennifer. I wouldn't even know where to begin.
I can help. I'll co-write it. I'll co-author it under a different pen name.
Be like, here is all the words for penis, Karlyn, and just go to town and.
I'll send you the erotic author's thesaurus that I have.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we'll talk about Hitler again another time, I'm sure, but now we're going to talk about aliens and channeling and angelic forces and things that are much nicer and definitely not as controversial on the internet, even if people come in here and complain. And so,
We're
and
all
so,
just having a good time. Let us. It's already been a long week.
yeah,
And it's only Tuesday.
yeah, don't fucking ruin all our fun. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. It's not, we don't even really have that many people watching this show. It's fine. It's a
Exactly.
nice little community. People always gotta come in and ruin things, Shadow.
Go piss in
Always
somebody
gotta
else's
come in and ruin it.
Cheerios.
Exactly. All right, let's get started. This is Outer Space Beings and Channeling Spirit.
Course in Miracles, please take notes. And she went to her colleague and said, I hear this voice, I think I'm going insane. And her colleague said, just write down what the voice says, and then we'll decide whether you're insane or not.
Yeah, real.
He has such a lovely, gentle disposition.
When I was young, a long time ago, I had some interest in that and experimented a little bit with that, and I had a little bit of experience with presences. But when I went through my awakening, I lost interest in that. My focus was not on that. Although I have come into contact with quite a few people who, over the years, who channel spirits and spirit presences, who, you know what channeling is. I've looked at I've spoken to and looked at what is being channeled. The important question is, these presences are also just manifestations of the one consciousness, obviously. So whatever you contact, and even if you contact extraterrestrials, they will be manifestation of the one consciousness. So ultimately, there's nothing alien in this world. As far as my interest for many years, even after awakening, has been in channeling, although I never attempted to channel myself. Channeling would mean one specific entity uses your mind and speaks through you. Some people occasionally people thought that I was channeling when I speak, but I don't have the sense that a specific entity is speaking through me, rather than that consciousness is using my mind directly, rather than through an intermediary, so to speak, because the entity that speaks through the channeler, again, is an expression of consciousness. It's always consciousness. I've had some people who've told me that they saw me being overshadowed by some. I don't know whether it's the case or not. I don't need to explore this. In a way, when I speak, it flows from the presence. In that sense, it's channeled in the sense that I do not, as a person, I do not construct the sentences that I speak. They flow from a deeper level, but I don't feel that.
It is weird. Like I've definitely had like the experience more recently, and this always happened, but it started to happen more frequently, which is I get blocks of text in my head or like ideas that I know are for someone else, and I know it sure as shit isn't coming from me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Does that happen to you?
You're a receiver. So once you open, and we all have that potential. Most of us, I'd say probably 80-90% of us have that potential. And once you open yourself to it, you will get messages because they're hoping to get it. It's like you're the damn mailman all of a sudden. And they're like, oh, can you tell Timmy blah, 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 blah. And you're like, I don't want to do that though. You know, I used to get messages for other friends all the time. And they'd always tell me, hey, if you hear something, let me know. So I'd text them or call them and say, okay, I heard this the other day. I don't know if it's relevant or not, but blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, I can't talk about that. But yeah, I know what that is. Okay, thanks. You know?
Yeah, I tend to be like 50-50 on whether or not I actually tell the people, because oftentimes the experience I've had when I have told the person is like, hey, I got this message and I know this is for you and this is what it said and I don't know what this means, but this is what it said, and it freaks them out.
Yeah.
And then they get freaked out and they're like, what are you doing to me? I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. I just got that message. It's not my fault.
I just stick to people who have given me permission to communicate with and for them.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting messages that I haven't gotten that permission, I just tell them, look, I don't have permission. And I don't want, again, it's like, remember we were talking about, I think it was last week, where you don't want to do readings on other people. You don't want to spy on them, do things without their permission. And in spirit is, spirit is going to do what spirit does. It's going to find the closest, simplest route to get something through. We're the ones who have the hangups. And so I respect those hangups. And I may occasionally just say, are you open to hearing something I heard the other day for you? Or, you know how I'm kind of woo, are you open to hearing? And if they say, no, I'm not interested, then sorry, spirit, find another way,
See, I worry about doing that though, because I'm like, am I sending the message? Because like maybe it's just because like I'm kind of new at this and I'm kind of figuring it out, right? Like, well, relatively speaking, but like I worry that if I say no, it's gonna shut it off. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want it to shut it off. I just don't want, like, it is a little weird sometimes when that's happened, where I'm like, I don't know why I'm getting this, but like I just am.
You're not going to shut it down by telling them no. It's a boundary. It's a boundary. It's like, imagine if your neighbors are constantly coming over asking you for shit. You can go, listen, I just, or they always send over their kids to sell their Girl Scout cookies, and then their basketball team is raising money with a bake sale, or they're selling whatever. And you're just, you know what? I just don't want to be solicited. Thank you. I'll speak to who I need to. And you just keep the channel open where you need to. Boundaries are always good, especially because you don't want them to start, like, all of them start to show up.
Yeah, I definitely don't want that.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Like, they don't need to be forming a line or anything.
Exactly.
Ben said, hearing music, is that kind of the same thing, like receiving? If you're hearing music that, like, what do you think, Jennifer?
I love the Archie Bunker too. I hear music in odd things. I don't consider it a message. I guess I would need more specifics. Like, ever since I started tripping mushrooms, I hear music and fans and white noise all the time, like symphonic music. Yeah, it's crazy. And I'll actually stop and go, someone have the radio on? And then I'm like, oh, it's the fan. It is the weirdest freaking thing. Now, that I don't know if that's just my brain being funny because it had mushrooms too many times. I don't know. But if you're hearing music in silence, it could, I don't know. I mean, I would need more details about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Play.
They are dictated, so to speak, by an entity. I have examined the product of channelings. Lots of channelings are not that profound. They are very nice words, but ultimately don't say very much. Or there are exceptions. I'll get that in a minute. Or they tell you stories that they could be very interesting science fiction. What Ashtar is doing, the commander of the Galactic Fleet, and so on. Maybe he is, maybe he is not. I don't need to know that. There are some channelings that are exceptional, where there's actually a higher consciousness at work. So, for example, The Course in Miracles is a book that was channeled through a medium. The medium, Helen Schuckman, was a psychologist at Columbia University, and this voice came through her and spoke through her, and she was writing, basically taking down dictation every day in her office at Columbia University. She only told one colleague about it. She had to lock the door when she was doing it because they would have thought she was insane. So she was taking down dictation. It started with, she heard this inner voice, this is a Course in Miracles, please take notes. And she went to her colleague and said, I hear this voice, I think I'm going insane. And her colleague said, just write down what the voice says, and then we'll decide whether you're insane or not.
For people who don't know, A Course in Miracles is a book that's about this fucking thick and has little type on it. It's just like the Bible, except it's really I have it somewhere. I just don't know where it is. But like, can you imagine channeling a book that like, can you imagine? That is a huge project.
And that is only a splice of information available to us. I mean, yeah, that's incredible. And that is a lot to take on too.
That's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
And she wrote down, and it was not insane. It's actually a deeply inspired teaching, not for everybody, because the form in which it comes is not suitable for everyone. No one spiritual teaching is suitable for everyone. But the Course in Miracles has survived and will survive as a spiritual.
What'd you say?
Hold on a second. I'm reviewing the chat as I do once we kind of get going, and I'm able to kind of look back at it. Did you know, first of all, Saturn and Neptune are both going into Aries, or are both in Aries right now?
What does that mean?
Saturn
I don't like the sound of that.
Well, no, it's like they're moving into the constellation of Aries, so they're whatever their energies represent, whatever houses they represent, they're combining. I'm not good at astrology, you know. It's like one of the things I'm not good at. I'm gonna, again, another thing on my list I need to devote some time to.
I know that Saturn means constriction because I was gonna get so when I was originally discussing the tattoo on my arm with my tattoo artist, like he originally wanted to put Saturn on my arm, and I was like, and I talked to Joshua about it, and he was like, I don't know if you want Saturn on your arm for the rest of your life. That means constriction. I was like, why don't we just do the moon instead? So let's see what do you
know what Saturn, who Saturn is named after? Because Saturn's my ruling planet. It rules Capricorn.
Because you're a Capricorn. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
this is part of the reason I don't want it on my arm for the rest of my life.
Oh, for fuck's sake. So Saturn is the Roman name for Kronos, who is the god of time. Time is governing Aries right now, or maybe Aries is governing time. I don't know.
Let's see what this means.
I told you guys, that's not one of my strengths.
When Saturn and Neptune are in Aries, it signifies a powerful blend of discipline, Saturn, Capricorn, and dreams or illusions, Neptune, expressed through bold, fiery, and action-driven sign of Aries. This alignment is both personal and generational, meaning it depends on context, blah, 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 blah. Saturn in Aries teaches us discipline through action. It pushes people to take initiative seriously, but also confront reckless energy and selfishness, and when selfishness creates consequences. Neptune in Aries brings idealism to identity and action. It inspires spiritual warriors. Well, then this makes sense about why I'm getting so fucking psychic.
You're getting activated.
I'm getting activated. It's Neptune's fault. It inspires spiritual warriors, idealistic revolutionaries, and people chasing dreams of freedom, often without knowing exactly what they're fighting for. Hey, I guess that's all right.
Called out.
The
other thing that I have to say, Vashley, this is kind of brilliant. Nazi Alpha Omega romance. That is so awesome. Do you know what an Alpha Omega is? Romance? Well, it's actually an Omega verse.
Like a
werewolf stuff.
What is that?
Like werewolf stuff. I think the Omegaverse deals with. I have a friend who's like really heavily into it. It can actually go a little like super dark, but it's very dominant male. Get on your knees, and that's just the beginning kind of stuff. Like it's really claiming, and I just think that's hilarious. That's an Alpha Omega romance. I just had to acknowledge Vashley for that little piece of brilliance.
All right.
I'm done.
Classic. There are other channelings too that are quite profound, but they tend to be exceptional. So my main interest is, as far as the spirit realm is concerned, what comes through when people channel the messages. Now, there is the belief in many people that if they have passed away, they automatically are in possession of greater wisdom. And I don't believe that to be the case from some experience. According to the famous dictum, Just because they are dead doesn't mean they are smart. So you get a lot of posturing from these entities that they want to be taken seriously. They exaggerate their importance sometimes. And at other times, it can often also be the case, I observed, that the ego of the person channeling is actually the entity. So there isn't an entity, but the ego gets blown up and amplified, and then the ego realizes how much power it can have over others when it suddenly changes its voice and looks up at the ceiling or something and goes, "Hello, entities. I am here to guide you." And it's very impressive. I mean, it's scary when you listen to them. So, oh my God, he really must know the secret of the universe. So I wouldn't, spiritually speaking, I would not seek that out too much. It is comforting, of course, if you go to somebody who can contact deceased. And there are very few who are genuine. It can be very comforting to know that a loved one is still there, has not disappeared into nothingness. But there's also a lot of deception there with people who do that. But a few are very good. But don't lose yourself in that, because then you give your own power away to other.
That's when they get all flighty.
And that can be also quite dangerous.
What do you mean? That's when they get all flighty. That's like when you've been pulling cards too many times and you need to stop.
Well, no, I mean, he's like, don't lose yourself in things. And this is what, like, I think you and I both have the same grouse with people who are just so detached that they're just like, welcome, friends. Like, they just completely have lost them because they haven't remembered to regroup or reground, because they have lost themselves in the ether up here and with the other spirits. It's just constantly happening. Also, I think that can cause people to go insane when they don't know what they're hearing. Yeah, and so all of a sudden they're just like talking to themselves, and now they're just fucking crazy because they're an unfiltered, open doorway, and they just blah blah blah. And unfortunately, and I do think that that's like a real thing with people who are insane. Some of them really are, and some of them are. It's because they're an unfiltered channel. They have no concept to ground themselves or to constrict it in some way.
I mean, it's not an exact comparison, but I almost said this to someone on Twitter the other day because they were talking about how empaths are all narcissists and now like all this stuff, and I decided ultimately I didn't want to get into the discussion, but I almost commented. I was like, you know, like being an empath kind of sucks, especially when you're young and you don't know what's happening and you have no concept of the fact that you're feeling other people's emotions and they're not coming from you. And so you want to say it's narcissistic? I don't think so. I actually thought it kind of sucked. Like in retrospect, like growing up, like with that sense, like it fucking sucks. It fucks with you. It really, really does. You know, I mean, I don't know if that was my experience.
Well, you were kind of talking that when was it the end of last week when you had your impromptu woo stream?
Yeah.
And when I was a very small child, my parents were driving to California, and we went through, I want to say it was Las Vegas. We went through Las Vegas, and we went to Circus and stuff like that. But out on the streets, I got so overwhelmed.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't have been maybe 6-ish, and I got so overwhelmed by. I saw this like a drunk man staggering, and he was moaning to himself and he was talking to himself. And I saw several people like that. And then there were everybody was drunk and intoxicated. And there was so much hectic energy and people who had lost money and just hopes and dreams being shattered and built all at once. And it was so overwhelming. I just started crying, uncontrollably, ugly crying, screaming. My parents had to get me back to the hotel room because I could not. And they're like, what's wrong? I'm like, oh, the homeless drunks are making me sad. It's the only thing I could think of to explain it. But I remember snaps of walking down that street when it started to overwhelm me, of the people I saw, and it's still so vivid. Yeah, it's crazy.
I think Las Vegas is actually a really good example because I've heard a lot of stories of like the energy of Las Vegas
Oh,
just consuming people and it changes you and you act differently. And it's so true. It's like you kind of have to like be in control of yourself in Las Vegas. Otherwise, things can just go horribly, horribly wrong
yeah.
because there's just so much strong energy like everywhere. And it's not always good, strong. And most of the time, it's not good, strong energy. It's not
It's
at
a
all.
lot of extremes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of extremes because there's extreme crime, extreme hopefulness, extreme sadness, extreme addiction, which is a whole nother vibe that is hard to feel. But it's not good for an empathic 6-year-old. Of course, none of us, my parents or myself, understood anything about that. But and did you know? I just saw this in the chat too. It's episode 50.
Episode 50. Look at all these episodes we're doing, Jennifer.
Wow, have we really done 50?
I don't know if we did 50 by like together, but I think so because
Oh,
I had done a bunch of them before we got
that's
started,
right. You did like
but I think
24 or 30.
but I think like I think we started
Mhm.
around episode 20 or something, so 30
Okay.
episodes. That's
30?
nothing to sneeze at.
No, this is
Pretty
cool.
good.
All right, congrats and happy anniversary.
Happy 50 episodes.
Yes.
So don't lose yourself in that realm. Go to consciousness directly rather than seeking an intermediary through which to access wisdom. Rather than that, find the wisdom that is within you. You don't need an intermediary in order to provide you with wisdom. So because
Yeah,
it is inseparable from the essence of who you are and what you are. The wisdom is in you. So don't seek it. If something like that happened to what had happened to Helen Schuckman, that's a different thing. Suddenly you are overpowered by this. And in most cases, when a voice comes to you, it's not good news.
All right, that's the end of our first video. Miro got a super chat. Karlyn, did you hear about the Buffalo school system has been covering up sexual assault and other crime against students? Unsubscribed podcast I have not heard about that, Miro, but I'll take a look at that. Thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Oh, more. Below the lid, how bad it is. They have essentially gone to war, saying, I'll look into it. I will tell you that generally speaking, when I look into stuff like this, I oftentimes find that what happened is dramatically distorted in the coverage of it based on whatever narratives conservatives are trying to shill at any given time. And so I will look into it. I will say though, I do appreciate the super chats. We don't really want to talk about this stuff on the show. So I'm going to save this until later, but I do appreciate the super chats and I promise I'll look into it. Nick says, here for another 30 episodes and to infinity and beyond with DISENRAGE. I also want to say to Judgmental Lizard, he says, I think some people make empath their whole personality. I can see why people like that could be seen as narcissistic. Okay, so my opinion on that is I think the people, I tend to not believe the people who run around going, I'm an empath, like those people are usually full of shit. I mean, at least in my experience, like if I wasn't talking about spirituality on the internet, I wouldn't fucking tell anyone that I'm an empath. Like, honestly, like I find that generally speaking, most of the time, the best course of action is just to not say anything because people don't get it and it's weird. And like, people feel like you have some, like, people feel like you, oh, you're a nurse, you think you're special or like whatever. And it's just like, okay, well, whatever. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think they're just jealous and they want to be special too. And if they opened up that shriveled pit of a heart a little bit, they might find their own talents and find how much larger the world is. I'm a little spicy tonight. I feel a little raw on the edges tonight. So
It's all right. I've recently decided I'm just going to start talking about my spiritual beliefs, just like Christians talk about theirs again, which worked out really well for me the last time.
well, when you start out, I like to use respectful, somewhat coded language, but not to the point where I'm lying or hiding. So, for instance, when I was working as an esthetician, my clients would come down and like they'd ask what I think about certain things. I said, "Well, I'm an open spiritualist, so I look at it this way." And they go, "Oh, that's nice, and so I just kind of I soft shoe it so that it's acceptable, and I'm not going, I'm a pagan and respect my pagan and look at my pentacle. So yeah, I just like let it be a gentle part of the conversation, and I actually appreciate that when Christians do that with me. They're like, well, I love Jesus and I let him guide me, and I'm like, that's nice. But I don't want to get you need to let Jesus guide you. And I'm not going to say, well, you're a Libra, so therefore this, that's what I mean by just being respectful until you learn where the boundaries of and the open communication can take place.
Bro, put a fucking sock in it. We don't want to hear from you tonight. Go away. Like, it's like,
How did you do that font?
Why? I don't know.
I want to know how you did the font. That was
well,
cool.
I already put him in a timeout, so he can settle down. I don't think he needs to talk. He doesn't want us to have the internet. He can, go somewhere else.
I only got through like a couple of words because that font, I got distracted by the font.
He said it said women shouldn't be on the internet or something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Listen, the retards are out tonight.
Fuck you with love, you sweetie.
You. See, I mean, I can be respectful of Christians when they're like, well, this is what I believe and this means a lot to me. It's like, okay, fine. It's like, but when the Christian's like, you need to give up tarot cards or you're going to hell, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, you think a virgin gave birth? How fucking stupid are you?
Your mama.
You want to talk about weird shit? You think a virgin had a baby?
Yeah. And then turn around and say that they try to defend that trans men can't be women, and yet a woman who had never had sex had a baby. So I mean, honestly, it obviously doesn't take sex to procreate. So I guess in that logic, a man could have a baby. It could just be immaculate conception. Exactly. Why not?
Exactly.
You want a bowl, brother? Let's go.
Well, speaking of which, let's talk about angels. And you like that? You like that segue?
Very nice segue. Oh, okay. It's an app. Oh, that's cool, Lizard. I like it.
That's a nice. Can that show? Oh, it can show on the stream.
That's cool.
Ooh. See, and now we got someone nice to it, Phyllis, and not some asshole that says we shouldn't be on the internet. Timeouts with love are the best timeouts. Oh, look, they created another account. Oh, thank you, the other Jenny, for I don't want to overlook the super chat. Timeouts with love are the best timeouts. But look at this. The person we just blocked came back with another account. This is probably the same person we blocked earlier that is now so obsessed with watching our show that,
This is just blatant trolling. They don't honestly think this. It's just blatant trolling.
They're just being dicks on the internet.
Oh, yeah,
whatever.
Enjoy yourself.
You can keep coming back with as many accounts as you like, and I can keep banning you. And it's really not that hard. All right, let's listen to Eckhart Tolle talk about angels.
Yay.
Message that includes angels or angelic presences. It always boils down to find out who you truly are. Find your connectedness with the source of all life.
Bing.
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to sing.
Some people seem to have contact with different entities that are not physically embodied. And there's no doubt that there are entities that are not physically embodied.
Why? What is going on? You guys can go somewhere else. Why are there so many gripers in my chat tonight?
He's being funny. He's not being mean.
No, he's being funny. I'm just like, we do this gripers. Is Nick not live or something? We do this show every Tuesday. You guys don't have. You guys, I am very upfront with you guys that I am not a Christian. That I do all this spiritual stuff. You don't have to be a part of it if it goes against your Catholic faith.
I don't know. I think that's funny as hell, though. That made me laugh. Just submit to Rome. That is awesome. I think that's a great troll. Jennifer approves. I'm sorry. Not to encourage you. Don't start being a weirdo. I'm just saying.
The gripers got all excited because yesterday Nick said something about the era of the conservative grifter is over, and I retweeted the clip of it and I said, I've never wanted Nick Fuentes to be so right so much in my life, and if the era of the conservative grifter is actually over, I will consider becoming a Catholic as my thank you to God for ending And the
Karlyn, don't lie. You have to believe in God first.
but the Groypers got they got all hopeful, like, come home, Karlyn, and then I said I used the word consider becoming a Catholic for a reason. Consider. I didn't say I was going to become a Catholic.
Oh my Lord. You're not going to make me go to like James Lindsay events and shit, are you?
Oh, I am. Yeah, that's gonna happen. Yeah,
I better get compensation.
we'll do a crowdfunding campaign where we will send you out for like a spa day or something, Jennifer. We'll like
Okay.
send, like a nice spa day. If you go to
I'll
a
do it
James
for
Lindsay event.
compensation.
All right, we'll do something.
You guys.
Figure it out.
There are lots of guides, those entities
Come to Gaia.
who are
Thank
also
you,
pretending to be
Jenny.
somebody else. And the main criterion is what is the quality of the information that you are getting, rather than trying to figure out who they really are. And this also applies to so-called channeling, when this is still quite popular, I suppose, in some places more than in others. In the States, there's a town called Sedona, which is a New Age kind of, in Arizona.
You know what makes
a
me
New
sad?
Age town where
What?
it seems
Is that I'm moving farther away from Sedona.
I know. So if I ever have my retreat, it's going to be more difficult. But I do want to have a retreat in Sedona. We will get you there, Jennifer. Don't worry about it. Like you're going to be.
We're going to be able to actually afford stuff once we live there. We will have a savings account and everything. And I would like, and I brought this up before, if we get the right kind of land and enough land, I want to host a Karlyn camping trip on our property.
That would be rad.
Yeah, if we can do it.
We'll figure it out. All in good time. Time is not real, but things happen in their right time.
Sure.
every other inhabitant channels some kind of spirit guide. So I have seen many channeled writings, and a large percentage of them seems not all that relevant to anything. Small percentage, yes, there's something there. A prominent example is the Course in Miracles, which is not for everybody, but it is
really likes A Course in Miracles.
A high quality.
It is good. Have you read it?
Text, scripture, whatever you want to call it. And that was definitely channeled because the person who wrote it had an inner dictation.
I mean, The Course in Miracles, it's kind of like, I have a hard time. I haven't read it cover to cover because, again, it's really fucking long. But like I was listening to the audio version of it, like when I was when I used to go to the gym all the time and stuff. And so it's like, it's one of those things where it does ring true to me that it was channeled, because it just has that vibe to it. Is the best I can. It's like when we're watching Channeling Eric, and sometimes we're like, oh, good channel, and sometimes we're like, bad channel. That's not working out. It's the same thing with that. It's like, I think you can kind of tell sometimes.
Yeah. You can, well, it doesn't sound like a contemporary person talking.
No.
If I can put it that way, yeah.
It doesn't at all. But what I love about the Course in Miracles is it's like it's Jesus basically saying, y'all got some things wrong, and now we're gonna correct the record, and y'all misinterpreted some stuff that I said, and here's what I actually meant, assholes.
Yeah, which we know to be true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it is interesting to see how it correlates back to like the Bible and stuff like that, and be like, actually, here's what that means. They're like, oh, that makes so much more sense than the other thing.
Hey, Karlyn, I think we have round 3.
Can't you guys just go watch something else? Why? Why? This is my one night off a week where I get to talk about what I want to talk about, and y'all are ruining it. Who created the universe? God, source, one true energy. It is eternal.
Divine.
It is infinite. The divine. We all come from the same place.
Well, you call it God. People have different names for it.
One true energy.
Yeah.
Collective consciousness, whatever.
Yeah. The divine source energy. And if you want to call it God and give it that name, you can.
You can give it whatever name you want.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Don't talk about things you don't know. If you don't want to be here to learn, that's fine. But
Platonism?
don't talk about things you don't know.
I'm not familiar with Platonism.
Yeah,
What is
exactly. See, this is the part where they come in. They're like, "Here's what you actually believe." I'm like, "No, that's not actually what I believe at all."
that? That's nice.
Child, that's nice. That's with love.
With love.
That's nice.
Go
It's a nice
with
idea.
go with God with love. We
Go-
do say the word.
Yeah, look at this. That is Platonism, ma'am. No, bro. No, it's not. No, it's
What?
not. And
Okay,
now,
maybe I'll
and
look that up.
now, and
What is
now
that?
we're gonna. I just don't want to hear him talk anymore. You're ruining our spirituality fun time.
What is
Stop doing that.
Platonism, any of various revivals of Platonic doctrines or
tithe
related
me.
ideas, especially
Tithe me, Christian.
Neoplatism and Cambridge Platism.
Our beliefs are older than the fucking Bible, Christians. Our beliefs are older than your books.
Oh, 17th century attempt to reconcile Christianity with humanism and science.
17th century. Our beliefs are way older than the 17th
Oh,
century.
honey, yeah. We're way older than that.
Please,
That's sweet,
please,
though.
please. That's very nice, child. That's very nice. It's a good idea. Good try.
Oh, they're so cute. Oh.
And she wrote down what she heard. She did not fully understand what the dictation was saying, and she couldn't live it, the teaching, and yet the book was produced. You may have heard the saying as far as deceased people have done. Some people think when people, the moment they're deceased, they know everything. But there's a saying that goes, just because they are dead doesn't mean they're smart.
Look at all those people.
So
Yeah.
whether you do channeling or you go to somebody who does channeling, who goes, the eyes usually close and they go, "Is this so-and-so talking to you?"
Eckhart Tolle is
And-
so not impressed.
I
Whether
love
or
that.
not it's genuine, listen to the quality of the teaching. If it is a teaching, the words, is it fictitious? Could it be information that you have to believe in and they could say anything? And does it make any difference to your life whether or not what they say is right or wrong? Perhaps they're talking about life on those distant planets and what happens there. It could be a science fiction novel, as far as you are concerned. But some people are so impressed by the fact that these are channeled entities, they go, okay, and then what happens on those planets? Or they identify themselves as big entities from outer space. Who knows? Ashtar, my name is Ashtar, commander of the Galactic Fleet. And I have come here to guide you. Okay, so what do you have to say? And ultimately, if there is a true message, that includes angels or angelic presences, it always boils down to find out who you truly are. Find your connectedness with the source of all life. All true answers will come from within you. And whatever I say, verify it in your own experience. Don't believe me. If you cannot verify it in your own experience, then it's not relevant. This is what the true guide would say. So the great scriptures of the world they're not the authors, some are anonymous. There's a difference between spirit guide and teaching that comes from a deep connectedness of the teacher with the source. In that case, the teacher does not feel that it comes from an entity, but it comes from the source.
Yeah, true.
And if an entity gives you information, where do they get that from? From the one consciousness. So it may well be that this entity is more closer, more deeply connected to that one consciousness, but they are not separate consciousnesses. There's only one consciousness. And every guide, the one consciousness can only speak through any guide, no matter who it is, whether it's an angel or a deceased person or Ashtar, commander of the galactic fleet. There's only one consciousness that can speak through them. And the essence of
Night,
their
Grandma
message
Nate, feel
needs to
better.
be,
Good
if
night,
it
Grandma
is to
Nate.
be true, find out who you are in your essence and then begin to live from the essence of who you are. So use your own insight,
Can I just
and
hold
I
on?
believe
just a
you
minute.
will
Hang
be able to tell whether
Go ahead.
I'm over here stewing about that freaking troll because can we just stop pissing on each other with the little schoolyard "my God's better than your God" thing? Can we just focus on being good people, please?
Like, we don't go around saying, you guys suck because our beliefs are older than you. Neener, 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 neener.
Oh my God, we're
It's like,
better.
like, did you know that Jesus was a myth made up by the Jews? Okay, like, did you know that? Like, we don't go around doing this shit. We don't shit on your guys' parade. I've
Yeah.
celebrated the new pope. I told people to back off the pope. I feel like I'm very conciliatory towards other people's belief systems.
Well, we have to. That's what I mean. Can we just focus
New
on
age-
being good
No,
people?
no.
New? What does
No.
that even mean?
No. This person doesn't know the difference between a branding campaign
Ah,
and the actual origin of the ideas. The branding campaign was
Yeah.
a marketing campaign from like the 60s and the 70s. It was an advertising campaign. These beliefs are older than your Christian Bible. No.
no, definitely.
No, you're just ignorant. And see, this is the thing. It's like, why are you even here? Why are you even here? You are
They're
not.
bored.
Who was the first New Ager? Are you fucking serious? We're talking about shit that goes back to the Egyptian mystery schools, you
First
moron.
New Ager. Wasn't it Jane Fonda?
I don't think it was Jane Fonda.
I'm just being. This
My
is how relevant
God.
that I'm saying. This is how relevant you sound. It was Jane Fonda. It was Heather
Jane
Locklear.
Fonda.
It was.
Yeah, it's fucking Cleopatra. Like, like what the fuck? No, oh, I'm very sorry. Oh, I'm very sorry. You just broke the rule. Goodbye, your band. Goodbye. Goodbye.
There goes the "don't be a dick."
Being
That
so
way, and
mean.
on the heels of just me saying, "Can't we just focus on being nice people?"
Yeah. See, Christians don't know how to do that. They really don't know.
I wouldn't say all of them.
Well,
Many
that's
do,
true.
Some, yeah.
Fine,
Some
fair
they get
enough.
very ensconced in their safety nets. The same thing that happens with people in political camps. They get very ensconced in their echo chamber and safety net. It happens with religion as well. And before you know it, you're running around the internet telling people they're crazy when you don't know how crazy you sound.
Well, like, imagine being so unhinged that you're pissed off that a couple dozen people are watching some spirituality videos on a Tuesday night and you just have to go and tell them off and tell them their beliefs are bullshit. It's like, no, you're actually the asshole here. That's you. You're coming into our space and disrupting our thing just to be a dick.
But it is inspiring some interesting thoughts, and everything happens for a reason. And I think that's going to be my contemplation is like, it's not about whose God is better. It's not about whose book is better. It's not about who blah 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 thing is better. It is about being good people. And this is unrelated, but it kind of also made me laugh. You know, a lot of people think like the Bible was the first book that was ever printed. It actually was not. It was the first book printed on the Gutenberg press. The first book ever printed was the Chinese Diamond Sutra.
I didn't know that.
It's printed on. I'm doing. You know how I do trivia for movie night? I'm going to do trivia for our final contest thing for the writing contest. So I'm looking up all kinds of literature stuff. Really fascinating things I'm learning. So the Diamond Sutra was a Chinese printing. It was done by wood block printing. So they would carve the caricatures and then stamp it in ink, and they put it in a book and they bound it. And that was the first book. And it would happen in 785, I believe, pre-first and end of first century. 785.
Crazy.
Yeah. And so what's funny is like a lot of people, and you never know, I'll say Christians in this case, but it's not always them. Sometimes it's other. They always think we're the first, we're the greatest, we're the best, we're the biggest, we're the baddest. Yeah, but you might want to look that up just in case.
You weren't. And we wouldn't be shitting on Christians if they weren't coming in and being dicks.
If that was a Christian, it could just be a shit starter who knows the trigger points, you know. I don't even care what they are. They're an asshole. And that's what's important. It doesn't matter where they come from. They're being a dick.
Yep. So you're a new subscriber. So yeah, so I talk about socialism during the day, and at night, if I feel like it, we talk about spirituality. And this is a spirituality show that we do on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. where we don't talk about toxic bullshit. We just talk about spirituality on the internet. And if you want to show up for it, show up for it. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. And that's fine.
I really love that name.
Have you even read the Bible? Asshole, I have 3 different versions of the Bible sitting on my bookcase right over here.
Did you know where the Bible came from? Have you read the source material for the Bible? That'd be something I'd be really interested to know.
Not. They have no fucking idea. And I'm not interested in arguing with Christians anymore. So goodbye, losers. Goodbye.
I do love the word metapharsical, though. I think that's really great.
My God. They have to ruin everything. It's
Oh,
rude, is what it is.
yeah.
It's rude.
Reddit theist. Wow. Okay. Well, here we go. We haven't had a troll in a while. It's kind of fun.
And we've got like 17 of them on the same night.
Yay.
What they say is helpful or not. At the moment, I can only think of Course in Miracles. That's of a high quality. There was a time when there was Seth, the writings of Seth, the woman channeled an entity called Seth. Some of that is interesting and has there are some helpful things there. It doesn't necessarily go to the deepest level. Nevertheless, there's some useful information there, but not at the deepest level. When I speak, I don't feel that some other entity speaks through me, but I do realize that this is not the person speaking. This is consciousness using the mind, this person's mind, as a vehicle, and consciousness speaks through me. In that sense, what I say is also channeled. Also, I don't know what I'm going to say next, and most of the time I don't know, even before a talk, what words are going to come out of my mouth.
I think that's a really good point, because like that happens to me when I'm writing, and I'm sure that happens to you when you're writing too, is you just get into a zone. And like, I mean, I've talked about this. There are times when I write things and I'm like, this did not come from me. I know it didn't come from me.
Oh, yeah. Well, if in works of any kind of inspiration, you are not necessarily in charge. You know, you just kind of it's almost like you channel it. You know, like what you're writing is just that zone. But yeah, it's really fun though.
Yep, I agree. Nick says, our one night all week for spiritual enlightenment, and Christians have to come and ruin it because they're dicks.
Or just come
with love.
Think and don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick. How hard is that?
Maybe Christians, maybe you can learn what other people believe. So every time I say I'm a spiritualist, you don't say, are you an atheist? Maybe you can just learn what other people believe, just to have a more informed worldview. Is all we're saying.
Be a spiritualist and an atheist.
This is like almost every Christian I've ever talked to, at least recently, like they truly believe, Jennifer, if you are not a Christian, then you are an atheist. They're like, do you believe in God? I'm like, well, yeah, like, but not in the same way you do, but like well, we don't quite have the same conception of it, but yeah. Yeah. Like you're an atheist, right? Like, no.
No, it does, yeah. To believe in spirit, you literally cannot be an atheist. But that's cute. They're learning. They're new.
It's very nice, children. Very nice.
And that connectedness is important. That is the connectedness with the source, with being, with stillness, with presence, whatever you want to call it. And that you have that available to you also. You might not give public talks, or you might at some point, and some of you already do. But in whatever area you are active in, to be connected to the source will empower you in
True.
whatever area you are active in,
True,
and will
Eckhart
make your
Tolle.
work much more helpful to others and more empowered. You become more inspired, and you become an inspiration for others, even if you're sell tickets at cinema tickets or whatever. It doesn't matter. Everything becomes transformed through your connectedness with Source. So, but to have that, the vital thing is to be able to access the space of no thought. In another way of calling that space of no thought, which I sometimes express because it's an inner space, thinking, you remember? And then you go, shh, present. That's the space of no thought. So,
we have to watch Joe Dispenza sometime. I really should do my next episode should be a Joe Dispenza episode, because like the way he teaches this is like, what does he say? Nowhere, no thought, no time, no one. Like where it's like you're just like you're supposed to just envision like nothing. Like you are nowhere, you are no one. There is no time, there is nothing. And that's kind of how he, like, I guess, grounds people when he's doing meditation. Well, not ground, but like that's the wrong word. But like that's kind of like the thought he puts in your head, and it works. But it's a trip to do. I don't know if that makes sense.
Even when I have tried to go into a space like that, I still always hear music or a humming or something. It's like I'm never empty, and I don't hate that. It's like I don't feel like I'm failing, and so I mean, and I'm saying that because if anybody ever struggles with that kind of meditation, which is pretty severe, honestly. So
Yeah.
it's a pretty serious kind of meditation. If you struggle with it and you still hear or sense something, that's okay. That's just your awareness is stretching out, and you may pick something up, and that's all right too.
True.
In order to have the connectedness with Source, you need to open up that space of no thought. Alertness, relaxed alertness. It seems almost paradoxical, but they go together. Relaxed alertness. And you could also call that becoming comfortable with not knowing. Because otherwise your mind always thinks it knows already. So when you're trying to help somebody has a problem, people will immediately try to say something helpful. They think hard, okay, what can I say to this person who is so suffering so much? I need to say something helpful. And you search in your mind. And usually it's not that great, and it's not well received by the person, and it's not that helpful. They might say, okay, thanks.
Yeah.
But they feel it doesn't come from any deep place within yourself. Although your intentions are good, you're trying hard to say something helpful. But to be really helpful, you need to become comfortable with not knowing anything. And that because the space of no thought is, you don't know anything in the space of no thought, at least not conceptually. The miracle is that in the space of no thought, you access the source of all knowledge. But it hasn't reached concepts yet. It's potential.
I have a thought on that.
Oh, sorry.
It's potential.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So Deepak Chopra says, I used to listen to a lot of his stuff when I was in the midst of one of my little tangential journeys. And I like him very much. He said that when he goes, often we get very frustrated because we don't know the answers. We don't know what to do. What about this? What about that? We don't have the details. We don't know. And we get bogged down with the fear that he says, actually, being in a place where you don't know is a beautiful place, because it is the place you begin for creativity. It is where creativity can enter. When you don't sit there and have all the answers, if you know everything, there's no creativity because you have the answers. You don't have to come up with anything. You don't have to try and problem solve or anything. So when you are sitting in that place of, I don't know how, I need a new job, but I don't know what I'm going to do, where it's going to come from, blah, 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 it's going to pay, blah, blah, blah. You don't know. That's fine. Create your new reality now. Step back, step away from that fear and all those questions. Get out of your checklist head and just go, I don't know. Let's see what comes through. Let's see what begins. I'll create it.
Yep.
I'm going to go use a little goddess room. I'll be right back.
All right.
Of all knowledge, the primary source. So many people are actually afraid of going there because they're afraid of not knowing. And so they need to keep thinking. So if you can, somebody comes to you, let's assume you have practiced already beforehand, not knowing, for example, by not labeling compulsively everything around you, but actually be present with a tree, with the sky, with another person. And so you almost, another way of putting it, you almost disappear as a person in that state of no thought, because in no thought, who are you? You're simply a presence. You're not a particular person anymore. So it's a voluntary kind of disappearing act where you as the personal entity disappear, and there's just a space of consciousness where you were before. This sometimes happens to people who suffer greatly. They suffer so much that their ego gets destroyed and eroded, and what's left is just a presence. And this could happen to you, but probably won't need to happen because you're already voluntarily going there, so life doesn't need to push you into it. So to become comfortable with not knowing, let's say a person comes to you is in suffering again, or is close to death, or somebody has just died, or they have just lost everything, or whatever it may be. Or of course it could be pseudo-suffering too. It could just be a suffering totally created by their mind. No actual situation, just totally mind-created. In which case I naturally always have a little smile on my face. I'm not laughing at them, I'm just smiling because I realize it's a delusion.
So true.
But let's assume it's real suffering. Somebody has just died or is approaching death or has an illness. And then instead of figuring out what can I say, you just go still and you just listen. And it may be that no words come, but an energy, you contributed an energy to that situation that is helpful, that is healing. Some healing comes in healing, the deepest healing really comes in that way too. When you access that, it's not always words that come out of that space. Sometimes a wordless emanation comes out of that space, which some people might call healing. And healing is not necessarily healing of a physical symptom. There's a deeper level of healing that helps that other person to connect with the deepest source within themselves. And that's really the ultimate and true healing. So when I was many years ago, I was beginning to work with people who came to me for advice and counseling and so on. And I was always naturally becoming very still. So it all came out of that. I never knew the answer beforehand. Just get still and listen. Oh. And I may have told the story before that for a while I thought I was a healer, because that was early on after my shift in consciousness when I didn't understand much. So I was sitting with a woman who had been a Catholic nun for 15 years and then left the order because she hadn't found God yet. And she came to me, and I was sitting in that state of not knowing, but being comfortable with not knowing, not being uncomfortable with not knowing, because that's not pleasant, and then it gets blocked immediately. And she said she could feel the energy suddenly that was flowing, And she said, "Oh, you are doing healing. You're a healer." I said, "Oh, that's what I am."
Oh
And
yeah.
I thought, "Oh, so that's what this energy is." And then for a couple of years, the word must have spread. People called me a healer. And some people came for physical healing. And some people had a pain there, and the foot was hurting, and can you heal my foot? Well, I don't know. And then I realized
Maybe.
after 2 years, most people who then came were just interested in getting rid of certain symptoms. They were not interested in a deeper healing. So I made an announcement that I am not a healer.
It's true though. A lot
Man. Go
a
ahead.
lot of people when they're seeking healing, it's the thing that's causing the problem could be a simple physical thing, you pulled a muscle. It could be a deeper spiritual thing and you're like, "Well, I need to get rid of this problem." And you're like, "Well, it's not being caused by a simple thing. There is no simple solution. You need to actually change a habit or change an aspect." I just want the pain to go away. Okay, but you're going to just make the pain come back if you don't change, true healing. It's like, this is why I'd never opened a Reiki practice, because I found most people just wanted me to fix them. Just fix my chakras, just fix my this, fix my that. And it's like, well, I can't fix you. I can give you a temporary relief, but you're the one who fixes you. And
Well,
that just confounded many of them.
and this is what annoys me about people who are into this stuff sometimes, because it's like, you should know better. Like, honestly, like, you understand how energies works, how the chakras work. You probably have a Louise Hay book in your house right now. Don't like, you know how this works. Like, what are you talking about? But no, not even spiritualists actually want to do spiritual work. The great irony of life.
It is. Well, they just want that fix because we're so used to just take a pill. Give me my spiritual aspirin. And I'm like, I can, but you're just going to keep going back. And then you're going to call me a fraud and tell me that I never helped you, when actually you never helped yourself. And it's not my fucking fault.
True. All right, now we're getting into the interview with Daniel, and this is one of our favorite new discoveries that we found on the internet. And Daniel is a very interesting channeler that channels all sorts of beings, but this is an interview about channeling for beginners, which I'm really excited about because I've never actually taken a channeling class. So this will be like the first introduction to what you need to do to channel for beginners.
And we've had a lot of people ask, how do I channel? And if I may just precautionarily say, don't just start doing stuff. Like, really do your homework. Don't just watch this video and go, I'm going to do everything he said and I'll be a channeler now. Please look into things. Understand there are steps to guarding yourself, to protecting yourself. So if you open up, you never know what's going to come through. You have to take it in small bites. If you open up, the next thing you know, you're going to be possessed. You're going to turn into a statistic, be super careful about all this stuff and have some fundamental knowledge before you begin. And if you do decide to start light, don't go too hard. If you're an experienced spiritualist who has a basic, at least working knowledge, I'm more comfortable with that. But I just don't want anybody who's never even delved into anything spiritualist before to go, I'm going to open up myself to spirit and see what comes through. Please don't do that.
Don't do that. It's a really, really horrible idea. And even if you're really excited about something, listen, I used to be super, super excited about developing my intuition. And those moments where my intuition is blown open, because it's happened to me a couple times, where I really made leaps and bounds. It is scary and it kind of sucks. And you don't really know what's happening and you need people to help you manage it because you experience some really weird shit. And I'm not gonna say it's not all it's cracked up to be, because it has benefit to it as well. But maybe start just by learning about the chakras. That might be a good first step. If you don't know about the chakras, if you don't know about grounding, if you don't know about any of that stuff, start there. And
I'm gonna actually do that next Tuesday. I think we're gonna delve into the chakra system.
Oh, that'll be good. People need to learn
Yeah.
about the chakras. And like, listen, man, I've told people this. Like Joshua, when I was first learning this stuff, Joshua made me do a whole routine with the chakras where I was to wear a different color every single day of the week, and I was to meditate on a different chakra every single day of the week, and I had to do that for months and months and months and months and months and months. I had to read all sorts of fucking books about the chakras. So you know, maybe just start there. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do it at the time. I had to buy a whole rainbow of colors that I didn't ever want to wear again because I didn't own anything yellow or orange. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you know,
It's easier to do it with just your socks. Like you can find socks in any color.
you know what I did is I got a whole bunch of bandanas, just like handkerchiefs, and like you go to like, you know, Hobby Lobby, they're like $1. I was like,
Yeah. I had a friend who paid $500 for an online chakra class, and they didn't even teach the chakras in the right order or in the right way. She had I went over to visit with her, and she had crystals lined up in the order of the chakras are supposed to appear in your body. And I looked at that and I'm like, these are wrong. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, these are out of order. And she goes, well, that's what the one on the internet taught. You know, I spent $500 on this course on chakras. I'm like, yeah, but that's not how they go though. And you have to move. So I put them in the right order. And she's like, oh man. And unfortunately, there are people who don't know or who purposefully, and I've heard this when I was going through my Reiki training, purposefully screw up the information to mess you up because they feel that unless you pay the really high dollar price for the truth or you physically come to their class or whatever, you're not worthy of receiving the information in the correct order.
oh man, see, that's bullshit.
Yeah. And I just think they're assholes. You know, Master Usui, who was my guru, believed that this is just common spirit knowledge. He was only the vessel to pass it on, and he wanted everyone to understand and open their potential. And then when he opened schools, he started in California, they started spreading east. His daughter, after he passed away, then started charging thousands of dollars because she made it very exclusive because she got money hungry. And then that's what started the whole Reiki is very exclusive and you can't touch people and you have to do it this way and that way. She started that shit. And it's not true. Yeah, it just makes me so angry.
Lame. And look, Mojave says, I actually have a Louise Hay book in my house. Nothing gets exactly. Everyone that has dabbled in spiritualism has a Louise Hay book in their house, or you have read Louise Hay.
Curious. I don't know if I do or not. I don't honestly know most of the authors. I know the book titles, but
you know who Louise Hay is and what she taught, right?
Maybe refresh my memory.
So Louise Hay, so in her books, it'll have like, what is your ailment? I have a stomach ache. I have a headache. I have a toothache. I have a backache. And it'll say, here is the spiritual problem that is causing your ailment, and here is the affirmation you need to do.
Whoa, no.
It's actually really helpful. If you look up just Louise Hay on the internet, it's actually really helpful.
Interesting.
Like, here is the spiritual root.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this this here interview. We're gonna be here all night, Jennifer. This is gonna be great.
All night. Yes, indeed.
All nighter.
Is this a long one? Oh, it's an hour and a half. Or hour and 20.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. Thanks.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, my friend. I know we've been trying to do this for a while.
I like Alex Ferrari too.
Now, but
he did the pet interview.
We finally got together. Our schedules aligned. I'm looking forward to talking to you, my friend, because I really haven't had anybody on the show who is not only a channeler but also teaches channeling and shows people how they could possibly connect their own or open up their own channeling abilities as well. So before we get into all of that, what was your life like prior to this insanity that is channeling?
Well, I like you was trying to make it in the film industry, and I moved to LA in 1997. I was an atheist at the time. I grew up Catholic. I abandoned all that when I went to BU,
Catholic.
Boston University,
and
BU, learned that everybody's got these stories in their books. Like
I went to BU. Nick Fuentes went to BU. Daniel went to BU. See, it's the great Catholic New Age arc. We've completed the circle. Groypers are going to be thrilled.
Oh, and just for the record, just to clear up any misunderstandings about doing Reiki or energy healing, if you are a professional or if you seek green energy, which is money for your services, a service is worth money. It is, your time is valuable. So But the disproportionate amount of it that certain people charge because it's an exclusive thing is bullshit. So
it's not the money, it's the intention behind what you're doing. If you're providing service to someone, you're providing value to someone, you get value in return for that, you know. But if you're doing it with like, I'm going to be hoity-toity and it's like, that's a different, you're not doing it to be of service. You're doing it to uplift yourself for your own ego.
Well, just like with a lot of facial products, and that's why I was such a cheap esthetician, is because I would see people like charging $300 for an avocado facial, and I'm like, the actual things for the facial cost you all of $10. You did it for an hour, and it's a fucking avocado. I mean, they're just charging you to make you feel like you've had something luxurious, not that you actually have had anything of value. It's disproportionate, in my opinion.
Even, you know, non-religious, they're all the same stories. And I thought, well, wait a second, what makes mine so special? And it's just like, so I went from I was really into my Catholicism to the point where it's like kind of the biggest trauma of my life growing up Catholic, you know,
a lot of Catholics
and being afraid of God. And so then I didn't believe in God. And then I actually listened to a Tony Robbins interview with Deepak Chopra, because my boss at the time said everybody's got to listen to Personal Power too. And when I got to the Deepak Chopra one, I was like, hey, I like this guy, because I was into raw foods. I still am. So I'm raw vegan. And I believe in the body's ability to heal itself. And so that's what Deepak's into now. You know, he started out as a doctor and then was like, well, I'm just a glorified drug pusher. So anyway, I resonated with the guy. And basically through science kind of proved to me that there's something more than this, you know, Freudian Darwinian view of the world, you know, which is what I was into at the time as an atheist. I wasn't a proud atheist. I wasn't like Ricky Gervais going around trying to tell everybody how great atheism is. You know, I was like scared still. So now I'm scared. I'm just going to die and go in the ground. And I start getting into Deepak stuff, and I'm like, oh. So there must be something more if that's the way things are behaving on the quantum level. And, you know, he just had all this kind of like anecdotal evidence of there being more. And I found conversations with God. I would do something if like 3 people told me to do it, 3 different people. And I remember after the third person told me, you should read Conversations with God. I did. And that was my introduction to channeling. So I was so into channeling. Introduction. I was into him, and then Seth, who I think you started to find. Who's my favorite, all-time favorite is Seth.
Isn't Seth one? I mean, other than Edgar Cayce, one of the OGs of the channeling space?
1963, she started. Yeah. So other than Edgar Cayce, there was not a lot of people doing it, I think. And the amount of material that she produced over those 20 years of books, and it's amazing. And it's just, so that was blowing me away. And then somebody convinced me to get into Abraham on a message board. And I was like, okay, I'll check out this Abraham. And then I could actually go, because I always I was like, what would it have been like to be in that apartment in Elmira with Rob and Jane and Seth? And then I got to go to see Abraham. So I'm going to see Abraham like all the time. My first one was in Sedona, and I got called on and I got to ask questions. And it was kind of like Abraham was telling my future, because I asked them a question. They're like, well, you're really good at communicating this type of information, and you're going to have several well-received books. And there's a couple of my books right there. And I was like, I had no idea I would ever channel. I had no desire to channel. I wanted my now ex-wife to be the channeler, because I liked being the Jerry Hicks. I liked asking all the questions.
Right.
But then 2010 comes along and everything changes in 2010. So I'm doing Reiki on someone and I feel energy for the first time. I'm like, whoa, this is new. And I want to talk to you later about energy and channeling, because it's all about the energy. And then once I had that experience, I just want to do Reiki on everybody. So I'm like, I'm doing Reiki on people, and my arm starts going like this. I'm like, what's that? Why is my arm doing Right. Then my head starts going like this, like Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. I'm like, okay, now this is happening. But then the lips start moving. And I'm like, oh my God, channeling. So that was in January of 2010, the first time I ever thought, is this going to happen? And then March comes along, and even though I have this outwardly looking good life, I'm going to all these Abraham workshops and on the cruises, and I have my own business. I used to go to Amoeba Music in Hollywood and buy up stuff and resell it on Amazon. I probably flipped through and saw like your DVD in there at some point, like all the bins they have. And I'd resell it on eBay and Amazon. So I was making enough money to go to all these Abraham things. And me and my wife, if you saw us in public, you'd think great couple, but our marriage was not doing well at all. And on top of all that, I had this painful hernia next to my belly button that I was too scared to ever get checked out by anyone. So I was in pain. I had to move all these boxes for my business around to do my shipping days, which were terrible, terrible, long, long days.
Hey, Douglas, I see you say that, like, stop. Please stop. Please stop. Stop. Okay. We're enjoying ourselves. Don't need to ruin it. Thank you.
I'm not sure we're even talking about what he's talking about, so I don't think it's relevant.
I don't want to do it. I just want to learn about. We just want to learn about channeling, bro. Like, relax.
In so much pain one day that I just collapsed, and I was in tears, and I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, how do I end this? How do I get off of this earth? And there's no way I was ever going to do it. But not that night, but the night after, I woke up from this dream, and I turned to a guy that I knew through Abraham in the dream, and I go, I understand now about the other beings. And that was it. That was the whole dream. We were like standing in a desert. And then all this energy starts pouring in through the crown of my head while I'm laying in bed. And it's so much ecstasy. It's so much like what near-death experiencers talk about, where it's like, I cannot tell you how good this felt, because that's how good it felt. There's no words.
Yeah, I understand that.
My back is like arched because I'm in so much ecstasy. I'm barely on the bed anymore, and I'm just begging it for more. I'm like, more, please, more, please. One more time. And then I was wondering, like, what does this have to do with that dream? Like, who are the other beings? And as soon as I start thinking about that, I start getting more energy in. And then I'm asking them questions. And they had to be yes, no questions, because all this is happening in my head. And if the answer was yes, I'd get another surge of energy through my body. And then I thought, well, maybe you're in the room with me right now. Maybe I can see that all this is happening with my eyes closed. I open my eyes to look around in the room, and it starts flooding in again, like just the same as intensity as at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know how long it lasted for. It eventually had to end. Unfortunately, everything has to end, right? And so then I was just, you put me to shame with your 3 to 4 hours of meditation a day, or 2 to 3, or whatever it is. That's a lot, but I was meditating an hour a day at least for 10 years. So then that happens, and then I go, okay, I want to feel that again. So now, instead of just meditating, I'm meditating to feel the energy again, to feel it coming in. And what I could get myself to is I eventually got to the point where I could give myself full body goosebumps. And I'll just show you how easy that is for me to do. It doesn't take long. I'm trying to feel it all the way down to my ankles. It's definitely all over my arms, but it's
I see it.
It's like you can feel it. It's not just like your arms or because you have the arm hairs. By the way, Bashar has said that's your antennae when they're standing up like that. Now your antennae are at full attention when your hairs stand up like that. So I could get to that point, and when I was meditating, I could get to this point where I'd get so deep into it, I'd be dry heaving. Like I'm throwing up, but nothing's coming out. So that's the second time I thought, something want to come up and out of me, like words, like channeling. And I'd try with a friend. A friend would sit there and watch me dry heave, and nothing coming out. So then October rolls around, and I'm at an Abraham workshop in Asheville, North Carolina. Those are the smaller ones that she does. And my arm raises by itself. Because I had the dry heaving thing again, And I'm like, what's going on? I sat in the hotel room with my friends. I was like, you guys ask questions. Maybe I just need somebody to ask the questions. But I just was like this. And that's all they got. Was me doing my Jim Carrey impersonation. And then the next day, like I said, I'm at the workshop. It's a 2-dayer. So the second half, my arm raises by itself. By the time it gets up to here, the full body goosebumps, she calls on me, of course, Abraham calls on me. And I get up there and I'm like, what's going on with me? What is this? And they said, you're going to do this thing that Esther does, but you're going to have to work through your resistance to it. And I was like, okay, I didn't even know I had resistance to it, but past lives, whatever, could have been drawn and quartered for it. I don't know. So I had, my marriage had ended in the span of 2010 as well. I met someone on an Abraham cruise who lived in London, and she and I were Skyping all the time anyway. And I was like, okay, Abraham said I can do this. Let's practice together. I'll sit here. So all I had to do was like want it to come in, and it'd come in. And again, I'm doing all this facial movements and upper body movements and stuff, but nothing's coming out. I'm getting really frustrated now. And eventually I started making phonetic sounds. I started going puh, puh, puh.
So this is him working through his blockage.
And then I one time I kind of forced it, and I started speaking, and then she was asking questions, and afterwards I go, I think that was me. She goes, yeah, I think that was you. So then we kept at it, and eventually the group that I came to call the creators came through me and said, we are here for you. And I was like, oh, that wasn't me. So then that was the birth of the channeling. And then I was like, I followed again. I was into Daryl and Bashar so much. I followed their teaching. If you want to do this thing, you've got to take whatever steps you can take action-wise to do it. You don't wait for the universe to send you an invitation. So I told all my friends, look, because all my friends were Abrahamers, basically. And I was like, you guys want me to channel for you? Just call me up anytime. I'll do it. And then I was like, I'll do workshops. I'll make them free by donation only. And I'd have to drive like hours to do these workshops because all these people lived in San Diego County. Mm-hmm. And that's what I was doing for a long time until I started really getting more confident in it and putting it out there more. And now I've got this YouTube channel with over 5 million views lifetime,
Nice. So you were really courting this experience. It wasn't like something that was just kind of thrown upon you. You were really looking for it. You were trying.
Without knowing it, without even realizing that I wanted it. Because I didn't think I was the type of person who could channel. I think I was the type of person who could ask questions and somebody else could do the channeling.
You think that, it could have been, you're saying past lives. It could have been something else that was stopping you from, you're like, I want to be around it, but I don't want to be the person. I want to be around it.
Well, back in 2010, believe it or not, because I know, like everybody's channeling now. But back then, I didn't know that many people who were channeling. I didn't know who to call upon to be a mentor or to help teach me how to do it once it started. And I wanted that so badly. And then in late 2011, I did find a couple of women who were also in Southern California, Nora Harold and Wendy Kennedy, and they helped me develop it, and they gave me more confidence. They became my friends, and it was great. It was just so great to have somebody there to be like, it's okay. Everybody has these doubts. Everybody sounds like somebody else at first. Like you don't have your own voice necessarily at first. And I'm sure it's the same in filmmaking. It's like, that's just, he's just doing, like people say Tarantino, he's just ripping off old samurai films, or he's like, whatever, and you get your own voice eventually. And it takes time. It really takes time to develop it and to be confident in it and seamless with it. But it's one of these things. And the analogy I always use for people is, you pick up a violin, the first time you can do something, you can put your fingers on things and you can use the bow and you can make a sound. But the 1,000th time you pick up the violin, you're going to be a lot better. So if you don't keep picking up the violin, you can't expect to get better.
Well, that's a really good point, because a lot of times I've talked to now 30, 40 channels at this point, and everybody's very different. The way they bring it, how they come in, how they come out, all this kind of stuff. But some of the more seasoned people like Daryl or Paul Selig or Sheila that does Theo, they are, when they speak, they don't stutter, they don't they don't pause. It's just a stream of consciousness. But then some of the other guests I've had do pause a second, do think a second. Sometimes they'll do they'll do a this or that. From your experience being kind of like a channel aficionado, what's happening between these two kind of channels?
I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because I don't want people to think that if someone's umming and ahhing, it means they're not channeling, and if they're pausing, it means they're trying to come up with a good answer, because that's not what it is. Right. It's that now I took Spanish for 7.5 years, and but I've never lived in a Spanish-speaking country, and I can think of words. It takes me a minute to be like, okay, grandmother, abuela. Like I have to do the what's it called?
Translation.
I have to do it in my head. I'm getting like that now with words and stuff. But when it's energy, so everyone who's channeling first channels energy. No one is a sock and the channel entity is the hand, and they're going, that's not how it is, because it's a collaboration, it's a blending, it's a merging, and there's something inside of us that, and I think one of your other guests who's a channeler said this too. It's like, you don't really know how you're doing it. There's no secret decoder ring. And there's a mechanism. It's an internal mechanism. And I think, the Conversations with God books, they talk a lot about remembering. God says you're remembering this. You're not learning it, you're remembering it. There's something inside of us that knows how to channel and that has to remember how to do it. And that's something that just, like I said, with time,
let's take a pause there.
Yeah, I was pondering that as well. Go ahead.
I think that it's worth consideration. And I love that he said we're remembering how to do it, because I think a lot of us, we all go, oh, I don't know how to do that. I wish someone would teach me. I wish I could learn, or I wish I was this good at tarot, or I was good at listening to my spirit guides, or blah, 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 whatever the wishy thing is that's intangible. It is a part of us. Our makeup is multidimensional, is multifaceted. We have more than 6 senses, and it is a matter of remembering it. I would just say, for a soapbox moment, religions and governments have done their job in squashing our natural spiritual abilities and talents. And that's why we get stupid little trolls like we had earlier, who are like, oh, you're all crazy or whatever. I'm sorry you live in such a small world. That is my biggest thing. When I see people like that, I'm not even angry at them. I feel sorry for them, because they live in this little tiny world. They get all their knowledge from one book. When there's a galactic, literally a galaxy, a universe of vibes, information, other beings, and love and harmony and things that you can do and access. It's a matter of reopening those channels. That's all it is. It's already there. Sorry, to finish that off. Do you remember you saw Willow when the High Aldwin says the power to control the universe is in which finger? And Willow's first instinct was that it was his own, but he lacked confidence. And the High Aldwin later said that was the correct answer. Because when I saw it, I'm like, your own finger. I'm like, come on, Willow. I knew it. And that's exactly the truth. Don't look to other people for answers. Look to them for guidance. Find your own shit. Open it up. It's totally there. I'm dead.
Yeah. No, and I mean, this kind of aligns with what we talked about before, is that, like, for what we believe, we don't have one teacher or one book. This is like the person came out, like, who is the first one to do this? That's not, bro. You are missing the point entirely.
Debbie Reynolds.
There are
celebrities.
there are millions of people doing this. There are probably thousands and thousands and thousands of people teaching this. And I think that one of the things that's so interesting about this is the teachings are pretty consistent across all of the major teachers. Now, they might teach it in a little bit of a different way. They might have their own style. Some people focus on some aspects of it. Some people focus on other aspects of it. But like, if you look at just the core beliefs and the core things they're teaching, they are consistent across every major teacher that you will ever find on the internet teaching these ideas. And it's not like they're all getting together and having a meeting and talking about it, be like, how can we fool humanity? It's like, no, they all have their own teachers and they all have their own paths and they all have their own way of discovering this information. And just magically, it all came out to be pretty much the same. So do you really think that's a coincidence? Because you have one book, but we have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people over thousands and thousands of years teaching basically the same thing.
And here's what's really funny. You have one book and 20,000 different religions arguing about the truth of it. We have 20,000 different books and everybody's saying this is the truth of it.
Yeah. And we're also saying, by the way, we don't actually care what you guys believe. Like we are not in the business of like
start hurting people, then I'll care real fast. But yeah.
but we don't care about converting people. It's like, I said this in a long post I made on Twitter, because like I've been spending more time than I probably should have been contemplating whether or not I think Jesus is a real person for reasons, and I'm not going to go into that. And but like the basic, like the point I came down to is that with a lot of Christians, with Christianity, with Catholicism, like evangelism and proselytizing is like it is built into their faith that they will evangelize, they will proselytize, they will do this, they will do that, they will do the other. If you actually believe that your ideas are the way, the truth, and the light, and you actually believe that that is like the inner truth that applies to all of us, then why would you need to be evangelizing and proselytizing all the time? Why would you need to threaten people to hell with eternal damnation? Like, almost every spiritualist I've ever met took a different path to this kind of like belief system, right? But, and I don't know if this is your experience, but they all like, there was a journey that led them here. You might say they were called to be here. There was nothing, there's no fucking billboard saying you're going to learn how to channel today and you're going to learn how to do your show. There's no fucking, like, if you are meant to find this stuff like channeling, meditation, chakras, like whatever it is, you are going to find it. It is going to get put in your way, and it's going to be undeniable when it happens.
Because it happens over and over again. And pretty soon you realize there's a synchronicity.
See, we have this lovely brown person. Of course he's brown. Of course he is. Of course he is. I'm very sorry that you're brown, Henry. I'm very sorry about that for you. That sucks. I'm really sorry about that.
Hell has great bars. They really do.
Yeah, well, probably better than the Catholics. We're drinking better than the Catholics.
Oh, hell yeah. Lots more sex too, which is way more fun.
Lots more sex. Lots more sex in way more interesting positions. Henry.
There's a lot of synchronicities that begin to happen, and you don't really notice it when you're taking those first steps. You kind of see it. You see it in hindsight, then you see the pattern. Because I noticed, like, all of a sudden I just saw crystal stores everywhere. I barely even see them anymore, but I noticed that people who are newbies, like, they're like, oh my gosh, there's so many crystal stores here. And I'm like, are there? Like, because when what you need will draw to you, that is what manifestation is. And it'll bring you the things. And if I need a crystal store, I know where to go get one. Like, I'm not afraid anymore. I know where all that shit is. But whatever it is, tarot or candle magic, I started there. Meditation, yoga, whatever practice helps you align and further you on your path is going to start appearing to you constantly, to the point where you just have to do it.
Oh, that is kind of how I got started. I was really, really, really into yoga. Like before I got really into, I was kind of known about the spiritual stuff, I guess, but like, I think you're right. It was actually yoga that got me. Yoga was my gateway drug.
Mine was art history.
Oh, that makes sense, actually.
But for some, it's easier than others. Some, like Mozart, Mozart could play the piano at a very young age and do it really well and write things, I think, at age 6. But that has to do with, his journey and everything. And everybody's journey is supposed to be different too. So some people are supposed to try to channel for 5 years and not be able to do it, and then are able to do it. Because I've had students like that. I've had students who eventually have that breakthrough moment where they can do it, but as far as I was telling you before, my ex-wife said to me, you do the and the thing when you're channeling. And I was like, no, I don't. And then I went, and this is about 4 years into me being a channeler. I went back and I listened, and I was like, oh yeah, I guess I do. So you don't even realize you're doing it while you're channeling, but then after you've been doing it for as long as like Sheila's been doing it and Paul's been doing it and Lee Carroll, it's gone because you've picked up the violin 10,000 times for those people, you know what I mean? And now I'm over 12 years into it, so it's a bit more seamless for me. But another thing I always point this out too to people is with the pausing. If you read the Seth books, her husband Rob would put in there, Jane paused at 9:15. It was a long pause at 10:20. So even to me, the best channeler who's ever lived had these pauses. And I think what's happening is, and Esther Hicks says, it's blocks of thought. She says, I'm receiving a block of thought.
Downloads, like big chunks of downloads.
Yeah. And then so you, as a channeler, have to like make sense of it. That's why the channeler is always a part of it. Because like I said, you're not a ventriloquist dummy. You have a brain, you have a vocabulary, you have words that you're more likely to use. Now, I transcribe myself, all my channeling, so I can tell like, okay, I don't really speak like that when it's me, and when they are speaking through me, it's different. So I notice it, but I'm not using a lot of words I don't use in my normal conversation,
Mm-hmm. Well, let me say, because this is something that and I'm glad we're having this conversation, because it's a conversation that doesn't happen very often, these conversations, because there is a lot of doubt in people looking at channels, because, let's call it what it is. It's freaky, it's queer, it's weird, it's awkward, it's outside the box from somebody outside looking in. And when I first started seeing it, as you know the story, I knew Daryl Anka, who's Bashar, for 5 years before I even knew he was a channel. And then one day,
that's crazy.
He doesn't like walk in the room like, I am a channel. Like, he doesn't do that. So then once I started working with him on the Bashar Project, which was a documentary about Bashar, and I was working with him as a collaborator on it, I said, what's this channeling thing? And he's like, oh, it's just something I do. And he was my first introduction. Can you imagine Daryl being my first introduction to channeling? And I asked all these questions about how, because I just knew him as a normal person, not anyone, he's a filmmaker. He's just doing his thing and living his life. But this other side of him, I was like, well, what's going on? And I got into the details with him, and knowing him, knowing Paul, knowing Sheila, and many of the other channels that I have, I always tell people, like, do you think it's real? Do you think it's just BS? Or are they just acting? And I go, listen, two things. One, I come from Hollywood. I've directed Oscar-winning actors. I've been around really, really competent performers and actors and stand-ups and improvers, some of the best in the world. What these people...
Hey, bro, I've already timed you out once. I'm not going to tell you again. Do not interrupt our show. Do not. If you're going to be here, keep an open mind and just don't be an asshole. Next night, you're not going to get another warning. Okay, well, goodbye. Now you're getting put in timeout. Goodbye.
People are doing is unprecedented if they are faking it. Because it's one thing to have a monologue in your head, and even doing that, not to like the ums and the oohs. Okay, fine. But when you're at the level of Paul or Daryl or that they don't break at all. I'm like, I go, give Meryl Streep those lines and tell her to talk for an hour and a half like that.
And
then by the way, everything that comes out is profound as all hell. But then I throw in the extra mix of like, I'm asking questions that they don't know they're going to get.
Right.
And they're tough questions. They're not easy questions I ask. And they're answering it without a beat. I'm like, so that's the whole, I don't believe in it. But secondly, what are they saying? Is it profound to you? Is it helping you? Is it resonating with you? If it is, take it. If not, dismiss it and move on.
By the way, I fell in love with Paul Selig during your 2. I love that man. I hope I meet him someday and I get to hug him. Paul we have mutual friends on Maui, so I could make it happen pretty quickly. But because I live on Maui, and so does he now.
Because somebody has to do it. So thank you for taking the bullet for the rest of us.
Yes, I know. What a terrible life I've created. No, how awful would that be though to have to fake it like
all the time?
Oh my God, your hair would fall out or something from the stress and I think like because we were talking about this earlier too, about how many channelers there are out there now. I think they all mean well. I think everybody, and I'm the type of person, who thought OJ was innocent, like I want everybody to be innocent, like.
Well, kicking it, you're dating yourself, sir.
I am. Yeah, I'm old. But, I've never seen somebody and gone, oh, they're faking it. But I have seen people and gone, they're highly influenced by what they read on the internet. This channeling is not it, because everyone has a filter. And I don't know if you've ever spoken to any channelers about the filter, but there's a filter that we all have that we don't have any. You can't just say, I don't want to filter, get rid of my filter, because you're still human. And you still could let something come through you, and you might say, I don't want to let that come through.
That's very validating.
I mean? Because, and the other thing too.
Go ahead. Yeah.
For like what I was saying earlier, because like I haven't ever really talked. I've never met someone who channels. I've met people who say they can. But I've never like had the conversation. I can only speak to my own experience. So it's very validating to hear him talk about the filter, and you can let things come through as you're ready and want to experience them. That makes me feel a lot less crazy.
Here's the other thing. There's trance channelers. There's deep trance channelers.
Which I was going to ask you.
There's conscious channelers. And my friend Nora Harold, she'll talk to you as Nora. And then she'll go, this is a Pleiadian. And you're like, and she'll talk to you as a Pleiadian, and it's that quick. And then she'll go back to talk to you as Nora. And so some people are like that. They're that conscious with it.
I want to do that.
And so there's everything in between. The terrible thing about being a conscious channeler is if you're a perfectionist like I am, and you've always been hard on yourself like I have been, then you're listening to it and sometimes you're going, this isn't very good. Because you're still there. You're still aware of what's happening. So I wish to God I was a blackout trance channeler and I didn't have to,
like
Daryl and Jessica Herman, who's wonderful, wonderful channeler.
Yeah.
Everybody watch all these old episodes, by the way. They're all amazing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. But here's the thing I want to say about channeling that is so important, because what you're saying is right. What you're saying is true, but there's more. And the more is there's an energy. There's an energy that to some is palpable. To others, they'll be like, well, they didn't tell me whether I should buy dinar or whether I should buy this currency, or they didn't tell me like when the financial collapse is going to happen. So I'm skeptical. Because if you're up here the whole time,
right,
and you're not sensitive and open, which you have to be to channel, like you have to be a sensitive, empathic, open, emotional being. But if you're just in your head and you're in your head thinking about the channeling too, then you're missing the main course, which is the energy that's being transmitted is incredible. It gives people their own downloads. People tell me later on, well, when the Arcturians said this during our session, I'm like, I know they didn't say that. But that's what they got because they were having their own experience over there. Because, if you're receiving channeling, if you're really receiving it, you have to open up. And I think that's what the Arcturians do through me. to get everybody to be ready to receive what it is that they're giving by doing these crazy tones and sounds.
Karlyn, we have a good question in the chat.
Is that they're attempting to.
Is this Glomez?
Yeah.
Channeling is basically having a conversation with someone through your intuition, or is it more like straight up telepathy? I don't know. What would you say, Jennifer?
Well, telepathy is picking up the vibe, and sending one mind to mind. So in a way, it can be considered a form of telepathy because you are speaking one mind to another. That mind is speaking to you. Then you verbalize it. Now, typically with forms of channeling, you're going to actually partially, at least, if not fully, like he was talking earlier, there are levels to it. There are different ways of doing it. Embody the entity that is coming through. So in some cases, that entity is using you, for lack of a better term, like a meat puppet. Not like, and he did say it's not like the puppet master comes in and uses your body, but it's like your brain is being used. And sometimes the body will react to it in different ways, but it is in another consciousness speaking through you. How and to the level and degree by which you allow it to fully take you over and come through you, like, do you truly step aside? Do you go into darkness? Are you a blackout channeler? Or are you someone who is right here watching it and participating in it, sharing the experience in real time? Is up to the channeler and what they are wanting to do, what they're comfortable with. I hope that answers your question. If not, do ask more.
Get the listener to do more than just listen with their mind and their ears.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that your channeling is by far the strangest intro. There's no question, my friend.
The best.
I mean,
it is the best.
When I saw you the first time, I was like, this guy's like, what's going on? Because you're like, the arms are flailing, you're making sounds. It's intense. It's an intense situation. And I was like, what is going on? So that's why I really wanted to have a deeper conversation about your process. Right. Why is it happening? So people that watch it are prepared for this, because if you're not ready for it, they're like, this guy is, you would have been burned at the stake.
You might want to turn him down.
You would have been burned at the stake. There's no question you would have been burned 100%. At the stake because it just seems almost otherworldly. So is that energy coming in? It's like the movements of the hands,
it's all that. I had a friend who, by the way, he was also a filmmaker. He told me, and he's a yoga teacher too. He told me this is called a mudra, and I'm like, oh, I don't know what a mudra is, but I do this. And I looked up the mudras, and there's no mudra like this. There's one like this, but this one, it feels like the thumb and the finger are pushing against each other. So the way that I've made sense of it is the energy must be coming up and circling back down.
Mm-hmm. That's what you said, Jennifer.
The other hand.
That's what you said. You said he was creating like a circuit or something where the energy was in the hand up here and the one by the heart.
Yep. That he's creating a circuit. It's connecting the circuit. Yep.
And
damn, yay.
I wonder if I can do it. The fingers are flapping around like a fairy. And I channel a fairy, and at first I thought, oh, Ophelia's here too. That's what that is. But it's been going on for years now with the flapping. And I actually saw a video of a guy, and his fingers were just doing it like that much, But they're also rubbing against each other while they're doing it. It's not just, they're not like not touching, there's friction. So I don't know. But I do know that like I could stop it. I know if I have an itch, I can itch. But I basically am like, as soon as I'm open, I'm channeling. I'm not doing it to channel or to make it happen in some way.
I finally got a W from Reagan. Do you know how rare that is?
It's part of the transmission, as we channelers call it. It's a transmission that's going on that if you're open to it can affect you in ways that go beyond what the answers to the questions will be.
And the other thing I always find fascinating with people who talk to me, because by the way, ever since I started this show, I get asked so many questions. People like, call me up, or they'll text friends from Hollywood or other people, or just people who just find out what I do.
Are all these people in LA?
They just are fascinated. And
of course they're all in fucking LA. Of course they are. It's like the capital of fucking woo.
I thought that was Boulder. Maybe we must be like vice capital. Or
I think Daniel said he's in Maui now, so I guess that's like a nice serene
he's in
place
Hawaii.
to be.
They're very curious about everything. And they go, well, do you think they're just faking it to sell books? And I go, do you know how much money people make selling books?
Bro, that's one of the stupidest things. I like, they're just faking it to sell. But how does that tend to go, Jennifer? Like, you're going to go through this whole fucking process to sell not that many books, probably.
If I knew what to fake to sell my books, I would fucking do it. Let me tell you.
I don't even want to know what you would have to fake to sell your particular brand of books, but okay.
So many ideas, but I don't have the time, the energy, or the funding. But I just want to say thank you, Gomez. I hope you come by more often. I guess it's a he was.
He's
catch more
popping in and out.
Yeah, but he said he'll have to catch more. Got to catch Disenrage from now on. Yes.
Cool. Right on. See you around, Glomez.
Are you kidding? Like, do you think if there's a lot easier ways to scam people to get rich than channeling?
Like if you're gonna scam someone, you do coaching, life coaching. Do you fucking know how much life coaches charge? Like really high-end life coaches, because it is next. Like you think you feel guilty for taking money for a house that appreciates. Like you have got nothing on life coaches who charge thousands and just to go to a retreat or be part of a group with which they speak to for maybe an hour. It's like, it is absurd. So no, you're not scamming to sell books. You scam to be a life coach, man.
That's like one of the reasons why I wasn't sure if I should ever really trust Tony Robbins. And I really like him. I keep tapping and like going, is he a good guy? I think he is genuine. I think he is a good guy. I think he struck a nerve. And I do feel like he got a little shiny, if you know what I mean. But I think genuinely he's not a villain.
I don't think he's a bad guy, and I think that a lot of the things that he teaches have value. But when I was doing coaching, I never did life coaching, but I was just in the coaching world because I was doing executive and performance coaching and for like businesses. I met a lot of Tony Robbins like proteges, people that were like working for him and doing his and like his like certified, and they were always the most like fake, inauthentic people. It was just like all about this image and we are all this and we are all that. It's kind of like,
I think what made me trust Tony Robbins was genuine was people saying that they ran into him in an elevator. They saw him here, there. They said he's always so warm. He's very sweet. He'll sit and talk to you. He's very warm and attentive. And he's not like, oh, and I'm sorry, I don't have time. I'm too busy being Tony Robbins. Like he actually takes the time and is a human being also. And that made me go, okay, all right, I'll give you a chance. So I kind of like him. The fakers though, oh boy, did they come out in spades. Woof.
Oh yeah. And I will say this too. I have met amazing coaches. And if coaches can help you do something you never thought you would do or achieve a goal, then they're absolutely worth thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, like I worked with Joshua for years. Joshua helped me build businesses. Joshua helped me get book deals. Joshua was always the person that was there anytime I had like a big speaking gig to like give me a pep talk the day beforehand to make sure I was like prepared for it and all that. And it's like, it was an invaluable service. And I never minded paying him money for it, but there are people who charge way more than Joshua. And if they can get you to a level of performance that you couldn't achieve on your own, they're well worth it. But there are a lot of scammers out there and you need to be careful of that if you're going to get into coaching.
Yeah. Well, and also be prepared to spill some of this because wow.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
Woof.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a full-time thing. And I want people listening to understand like, oh, they just want to try to sell a course, or oh, they want like, man, there's such easier things you can do in the world than putting yourself out there like this.
Yeah.
Because you're basically exposing yourself into the world now publicly in a way that like when Daryl and Sheila, they did it like very quietly, kind of word of mouth.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Sheila's
book or something
Theo.
like that would come out every once in a while. But now it's like you've got a
Sheila
website,
Gillette.
you got a YouTube channel, you're out there. So you're basically putting yourself out there vulnerable for the arrows and the rocks to be thrown. Like there's such easier ways to make money in the world. So that's another reason I point that out here, because I want people to understand that channelers, that if they put themselves out this way, I mean, I don't know how many channelers you know that have Lear jets. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. There's a lot easier ways.
No.
Now there's some mega churches guys who have Lear jets.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just throwing that out there.
True.
I'm not saying who,
Yeah.
but you see what I mean. There are other ways to do it. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there and kind of so people listening can understand that it doesn't make sense, at least from my point of view, and I'm assuming in yours as well.
Yeah, and honestly, there are sometimes that I go like, I wish I was just a life coach or something, you know, like
It's so much easier.
Yeah, like, you know,
Yeah, you could have easily turned into a life coach and still done all of this quietly behind the scenes.
I was really good at coaching people too, because I was so into all this stuff. Like I threw myself into spirituality in the early, like I think I woke up in the year 2000, so it's been 23 years. And I just followed everybody, read everything, and like, yeah, I could really have been a life coach instead, and that would have been easier for sure.
Yeah,
than this.
a lot easier path, you know. And people, you know, and they're like, yeah, absolutely. So there's it's a choice what you're doing, and I want people.
You have to say yes to it. Yeah,
it's a choice that you're saying yes to. And I've spoken again to many channelers who's like, I kept it quiet for years.
Yeah.
I would just do it for my friends, because it's a big coming out of the closet, spiritual closet, if you're channeling closet, to do this. So I really appreciate you being so honest and raw about this conversation, because it's something that doesn't get talked about very often. Everyone always talks about the woo-woo stuff, but there is a practical human being behind the channeling and what they have to deal with and what they have to go through. And I think that gives a little bit more gravitas to what they're saying and doing as a channel, when you understand arguably some of the sacrifices that they're making to do it.
And on the other hand, if I didn't do it, God only knows what my life would be like, because I need the energy. I've heard you ask the question before, does it wear you out? Or it gives me energy. The reason I meditated all those years is because I probably would have been diagnosed with chronic fatigue or something. That's how tired I was all the time. So to be able to do this thing where I become this conduit of energy, it gives me so much energy. I do, because I'm conscious while I'm doing it, I do get to hear all the answers, which help me in my day-to-day life, because even though I've been spiritually awake for so long and channeling for so long, I still have my challenges and my issues that I'm facing. And what they say through me is for me as much as it is for everybody else. And that's why I channel almost every day, put out a new channeling. I want to know what they're saying too. I want to know, I want that reminder, because a lot of it's reminders for people too. It's like people will say to me, oh, I knew all of that already, but still I'm glad we did it, and I'm glad I did get something out of it. But yeah, a lot of people, I know you've studied a lot of spiritual texts yourself. I've heard you speak quite eloquently about spirituality, and you know that like it all comes down to a few simple truths. You know, there's only a few really basic truths. And when people talk about being awake, I really think that knowing those truths is what being awake is. I don't think being awake means you believe that you have the right theory about what chemtrails are, you know, but some people use it that way.
True.
Some people say, oh yeah, I'm awake, man. I don't, you know, I got aluminum foil inside all the drywall, you know. So
my whole house,
I mean, why
is a
wouldn't
Faraday
we?
cage.
Why wouldn't we?
Oh, hang on. Go ahead. What was that?
It's like my whole house is a Faraday cage, man.
Yeah.
Because if not, the earth will tilt over because we're flat. So Sorry, all flat earthers listening. I apologize.
Still out there.
Oh, you kidding me? They knock on my door constantly.
The thing that I think about when it comes to flat Earth is this: like, can it both be true? Because
no,
can we have multiple realities? I think so.
Well,
and I also think
maybe not that.
The only thing that's really
not real, the
true,
Earth's
besides
not round.
that we're all source
enough.
and we're all love, like, those are some of those universal truths. But your experience is true. So that's why you can't really call anyone crazy, because you know they're experiencing life in the way that they're telling you it is. That's their experience. And if you walk on the earth and you say, feels flat to me, then you can come up with this theory.
And the thing, and I understand what you're saying too, but it's also based on, the experience is based on how you were raised, your life experiences, the traumas in your life, all of those things that make you your personality will make you think one way or the other. So some people will look at pictures of the earth and go, it's pretty, it looks round. All the planets are round. It all makes sense scientifically. Okay. And others will go, no, there's an ice wall and you can walk to the end. And you know what? If you believe that, God bless you. I wish you the best. I wish you the best. But generally speaking, but it is all perspective, and you're absolutely right. It is the perspective. We walk through life through the lens of our experiences, you know. And I was talking to a channel the other day about this, and she's like, if you the entity that was coming through her said, if you walk down the street and you see in the middle of New York City somewhere, and you walk down the street and there's lights and noises flashing and buildings everywhere and people walking. That's the experience, right? Well, if you're an architect, you're walking down the street, you're looking at the buildings, how they're built. If you're a real estate agent, you're walking down, you're like, oh, I want to sell that. If you're an electrician, you're like, oh, why is that light out? Oh, it's because the electricity breaker must have been broken.
Go ahead.
Lizard says there's EMF shielding paint.
That's funny. Really? They use it in government buildings?
I want this. I'm going to paint everything with it. I'm gonna be like the only house on the block that still has power and a running car.
See, it's perfect time for you to move, Jennifer. Perfect time to paint your house.
I'm not like a crazy prepper doomsdayer person. I'm what I like to call hyper aware of the possibilities.
You look at the same scene is looked at by everybody completely different based on their experience. So I completely agree with you 100%. I wanted to ask you.
Okay, go ahead.
No, real quick. I wanted to ask you about the channels, because this is something I'm curious about. How many different kind of channeling is there? I know there's trance channeling, and Edgar Cayce was the sleeping prophet. There's people that come in and out. Some people just look up, like Susan Geisman, and just goes, oh, I'm here. And she can do trance channeling. How many different ones are there? And can you talk about them a little bit?
I don't know, really. All I can say is I think everything is channeling, because like what you said before about what kind of beliefs you're going to have, like based on your experience, based on your what some people call programming. So you're born and you're pretty much like this. Just like my daughter. I have a 3-year-old. Something else we have in common. Yes. I have a 3-year-old, and like if I do something, it's funny, she'll do it too. She'll want to do it too. Like she'll immediately.
She's been programmed. She's being programmed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, and I speak light language to her, and she'll speak it back, and we have so much fun with that. And
have we heard him speak light language?
You know, we go around absorbing.
I don't think we have.
We've heard the one gal do it. She had like really fast. Mine, when I speak it, it's not as fast. But I would love to hear him speak light language.
I agree.
I'm gonna go use a little goddess room again. I'll be right back.
All right.
What we're being told, we have a version of the truth that we're given, and a version of history, and all this stuff. And our brains, and this is I'm borrowing this from Bashar, our brains are receivers. They're like radios. And so your brain then, given what you're vibrating, so vibration is like tuning the station. It's the frequency, like FM stands for frequency, something like modulation or something.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So there's frequency of a vibration, so meaning hertz and all that. I'm not a science guy, you can probably tell, but you're vibrating, And so then your brain receives what's a match to what you're vibrating. That's what you're getting. That's what you're channeling. So the big truth about channeling is all that I'm doing and Sheila and Paul and everybody else is doing is we're saying, okay, be that, since that is the case, I'm going to change where my dial is set so that I'm getting something that's coming from a higher source than the news, my teachers, my parents, my friends, everybody else who's ever given me their perspective on reality and what I should believe and the ways that I should think. So then maybe you've talked to certain people about dimensions too, and the difference between the dimensions. So because
I'm gonna pause while Jennifer is in the back. I'm gonna say, like, so this is that was kind of like the radio tuning thing for me. Back when I was trying to open up my clairaudience because I wanted. Oh, Jennifer is back. Jennifer, can you hear me? Okay. So he was just saying, he was like, when you're channeling, it's like tuning the radio into a different frequency that's higher. And I was like, so back in the day, I really wanted to open my clairaudience because I thought that would be cool. I was like, you can hear voices in your head and all this stuff, and they can actually talk to you. And I was like, this is going to be cool. And so I was like, which is a great idea, right? And I was like, so I was doing all these meditations to try to open my clairaudience and work on my chakras and doing all this stuff. And then I remember the night that it happened where I started hearing stuff, and it sounded like the radio dial was turning, and it's kind of like you're hearing bits and pieces, like, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, and that I shut it off. I was like, okay, that was a fun experiment, but that was weird, and I don't like that.
Yeah, it is a lot. I guess when I hear it, it's whispers, like hundreds of whispers, just overlaid. And I got really excited about it because I wanted to see if I could tune into one to catch a sentence, and I hadn't gotten to that level yet, or I was just maybe too much in the flow or the stream, and I couldn't pick out any actual words. But every now and then one will dip out. Like I got a little bit better at discerning it later, but the first time it just sounded like just that. There's actually songs out there that have that sound effect in the background, and I'm like, that's what it sounds like right there. So it's pretty cool stuff. But yeah, you were hearing it for sure. You're getting there.
Because we now are fourth dimensional, we only perceive a certain spectrum of energy. Everybody knows that dogs can hear things we can't hear, and you can only see a certain amount and stuff like that. But it's true with everything. It's not just the five senses. So you've got to raise your frequency to be able to get what's coming from a higher dimensional plane. And those higher dimensional planes are all around us too, and inside of us. It's not like they're places. It's like, our superhero movies, our Marvel movies and stuff, they're kind of getting into this stuff of like the alternate reality is right there.
They do get into
and often they'll use
the multiverse.
Portal. Yeah, you've got to have a portal or something, got to have something visual. But it really is right here, right now, in a different vibration, so that I only perceive the walls and the lights and the stuff in the room here, but there's a lot more present. It's just vibrating at a frequency where I don't perceive it. So as a channeler, you're saying, I'm going to raise my vibration. So anyone who wants to channel, just go raise your vibration. Do the thing that puts you into your happiest place. And when I teach people, I often say, go out in nature, like get away from it all and go sit under a tree. And that's where your channeling is more likely to happen, because in your house, you got all the thought forms. You got all the energies that have been present in your house.
Yeah.
And you got to get away from it all in order to sometimes be able, and the trees and the rocks and the wild animals, they're all there like rooting for us. They all want us to like kind of come where the water is warm, and enjoy this thing that was gifted to you, this earth. And you can tap in so much. Jesus went to the desert, right? When he did.
Go ahead.
So when I was receiving my Reiki Well, no, I'd already got my Reiki mastery. I was co-teaching Reiki. It was like a weekend where we took people through all 3 levels in like 4 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really intense. Unfortunately, I don't think most of the people there took it that seriously, but for me and my master, it was a really cool experience. And so I offered myself up to receive the training healing, and my master was showing the student where to place her hands and how to go through the whole thing. And I had my eyes closed, and you know how like when your eyes are closed, you see kind of just red. If it's bright, you see redness because you're blood through your eyelids. Well, I could see sort of the silhouette of my master, and then there was a man that came up and stood right next to her. Clear as fucking day, another shadow. I saw his hair. I saw a little bit of a beard. I saw his outline. And I just was like, I just knew that was a mentoring presence and that he knew us, like he knew her specifically. And as we were kind of progressed, I was like, should I say something? Should I not say something? I'm going to say something. This is time to say things. So I said, there's a man standing right just behind you to your right. And she's like, oh, I know who that is. That's so-and-so. He was my master. And he comes and assists me because I described him. She goes, yes, he comes and assists me sometimes for healings and trainings. Her master had died of cancer only a few years before.
Wow.
So he was there and present and with us during the healing. What a lovely presence he was too. He was lovely. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. So that dimensional shit. And that's what I was talking about when we were talking about Sasquatch. I'm like, for me, interdimensional beings shift. They're energetic. I wasn't thinking about the alien stuff. That totally caught me off guard. But yeah, that's what I think of when I think of interdimensional beings.
Fascinating.
His thing, 40 days or something.
Yogis go to the Himalayas.
They go in caves. Yeah. They're not doing it in the middle of Times Square on the soapbox.
Exactly.
True.
And if they are on Times Square, beware. Beware of that person who is in Times Square, the Elmo and the Spider-Man in Times Square. You got to be careful of them. So, all right. So if somebody's wanting to become a channel, what are the first steps that you would recommend and how they could possibly, I think I agree with you. I think we're all able to do it. It all just depends on how much we're able to let go and open ourselves up and things. What are some steps that people, if they're truly interested in walking down this path, they can do to get there?
Well, honestly, I can tell you from my own experience that like just being around channeled material, you're not just receiving those words and those teachings. You're being introduced to a vibration. So, and read channeling, it can give you those attunements that you need for your body to be able, because I think the body too, another part of it is our bodies have to be able to handle the energies. And I think one of the things that was happening to me in that experience I had in March of 2010 was that my body had to be readied for the energies that were coming, that I was going to be channeling.
Right. I've heard that.
Yeah. So it's, like I said before, you could write a list. You could say, I'm going to have a list of the 10 things or even 5 that I could do in a day to raise my vibration. Maybe it's like just go for a walk, meditate, sing, dance, take a bath. All these things are going to help you open up more and be intentional too. You can meditate, like I was meditating to get energy so I could go and live like a normally functioning human being. But you can meditate with that intention. Like I'm meditating with the intention now of opening myself up to higher frequency energy and beings who would want to come through and speak through me. And it's good to be clear about it too, because that's the other thing. That's the fear that people have with channeling. They think, well, if I open up, how do I know it's not going to be some lower vibrational entity? The truth is you're never safer than when you're channeling, because if you're doing it right, you're raising your vibration. And guess what? They can't jump up and get you from their lower vibrational plane. They're going to stay down here where people who are using Ouija boards are.
Yeah, real.
People who
real.
take any of the steps
no
to raise
Ouija
their
boards
vibration
ever
are more vulnerable than the people who are like, okay, I'm gonna speak mantras, think mantras, I'm gonna Om. Toning is obviously, you should probably have somebody on sometime who can talk about the power of sound, like Jonathan Goldman or somebody like that, who these sound healers and new age musicians, they understand it much better than I do. I just channel it. I just like, when I first received overtones and created overtones, the beings were just moving my lips and tongue and mouth around to create those sounds. And an overtone is a higher tone with a bass tone at the same time. So you're hearing two sounds at the same time. So anyway,
harmonic.
There's a lot you can do, and it might be different for different people in terms of like what gets you. Some people like running, and some people like biking, and some people like walking. So whatever it is that is your way of getting yourself in that higher vibrational state. And another thing, I just want to say one more thing. I know I'm talking a lot, but this thing here is, somebody pointed this out to me. This will synchronize your left and right hemispheres of your brain, making it one brain.
So when I'm really like meditating and I'm really connected, and this only happens when I'm sitting up, and most of the time when I'm meditating, I'm laying down, but like it does happen sometimes. I'll even just be sitting in my office and I'll stop to like, tune into something, whatever. If I get really into it, my whole body starts going like this.
Yeah.
And it's not like controllable. It's just like, it just happens and you don't even think about it. You're like, oh, I'm rocking back and forth right now, but I didn't do that.
Yeah. It's almost like your whole body is reflecting the flow of the vibrational energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just rocking with almost like an ocean with it.
Yeah, it's very gentle. It's actually kind of like nice and soothing, but
yeah.
Because we have this thing called the corpus callosum in between the right and left hemispheres
that
kind of get you in, you're either in left brain mode or right brain mode.
Oh, sorry, reason Stevie Wonder did that, right?
Does that,
he was vibing.
Actually, and that's what binaural beats are meant to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you. I'm like, yeah, he's just vibing. He's all connected, man.
There's a reason he moved like that, though. Like this all comes from somewhere.
Oh, for sure. They say, oh, it's because he's blind and he had no sense of balance. Like, no, man, that dude was in it. He was in the jam. Like I've seen, like, Ray Charles did a little bit of it, but not as much as Stevie Wonder.
I mean, there are a lot of blind people in the world that don't move like that. It was because he was playing music when he moved like that. He was vibing with the music.
Totally.
Well, that's another sound thing. Binaural beats, they're meant because it's called hemisync. The Monroe Institute calls it hemisync, hemispheres syncing. So you want one brain, one unified brain, to be that receiver of what you're getting.
So is that kind of like why, and for everyone listening and not watching, he was shaking his head back and forth like Stevie Wonder right now, or Ray Charles. Is that why they did it? Is that why they did it with the music?
They were probably, I mean, the greats are all the greats not channeling?
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
I mean, Abraham has said the song that, so-and-so is writing is being written by the people who will receive it. And the songwriter is just the one who lets it through.
Yeah.
And then they bring it through, and then they go to the, my wife just went to go see Ed Sheeran, and there's 60,000 people in that stadium. They're all there receiving what he brought through for them, basically. And,
it was like, go ahead. I'm going to make
I love that. That's how you can be of service as an entertainer. It's not that just that you're giving the experience, you also received it to give to them. That's awesome.
You know who else did that, Jennifer? You know who else did that?
I'm afraid. What? Who?
Hitler.
Really?
Because so think about like the iconic, and obviously Hitler was the worst person that ever lived. Holocaust, 10 million Jews died, worst event ever. Hitler's burning in hell. We disavow all the anti-Semitism, whatever. Disavow thoroughly. What I am disavowing what I'm about to do. But did you remember those scenes where Hitler was speaking in front of like 100,000 people out in the middle, and they fucking loved him, and they were all doing the salute, right? They were They were all doing this. What are they doing when they're doing this? They're sending energy. They're sending energy to him. And what was Hitler doing when he's riding around in the car? He's doing this. He's receiving the energy from the crowd. So you might not like it, but that was what was going on.
I'm pretty sure you're right. Yep.
Michael Jordan, he made a free throw with his eyes closed. I mean, the guy was otherworldly in terms of what he was able to do with his body.
Sure.
And there's an element of that. Anyone who's ever played sports or danced gets that, or has acted.
True.
If you've ever performed in any way, at some point, like, you're just like letting it happen.
Yeah.
You're in the flow.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. As soon as you start
any
thinking,
creative
like,
thing.
if music is playing and I'm going like this, and then I notice I'm dancing, I'm like, oh, now I'm self-conscious. Now I'm thinking, like, what was I doing? Was I doing this? I'm a much better dancer than that, by the way. That was terrible.
No, it's very true. It's very true. And I've had the opportunity to speak to some big rock stars and movie stars and writers. And I asked the same question. I'm like, are you channeling? I use that term not in the way that we're talking about it, but in the way that the word channeling has become very mainstream. The word channel, like you're channeling Michael Jordan for that shot. You're channeling, the Beatles for that song that you wrote. Like there is that kind of thing. But, I've spoken to some of the biggest rock stars and movie stars in the world and directors and writers, and they all say, oh, it's coming from somewhere else. Like I just show up, I let them know I'm going to be there, and it comes through. And even directors who are on set, who, the stories of Spielberg and Scorsese and Tarantino, that they're just like in a flow. They can see a scene.
It's so funny that he used that word specifically, because I've been thinking about this book. It's a famous psychology book called Flow, and it's by a guy that his last name starts with C, and it's like very Russian and very long, and I can't pronounce it. He's just called Dr. C in like psychology circles. But like, I mean, you just look at the book Flow on Amazon. Like, this is all about getting into that state where like you're working on something and time just flies by, and it's not like, but you're like so into it that you're not even thinking about it. That is an actual thing in psychology called flow.
Right. So I knew that was an actual thing, but I didn't realize it was a psychologically technical term.
Oh, yeah. That's is actually cool. A very, very famous book. And actually, like, I found out about that book when I was like, I mean, working with like startups and things like that, because in like the startup culture, their whole thing was they wanted to get into flow when they were programming. And so they're doing all these like biohacks and all this stuff. And startup culture is very kind of like, it's very sterile, but they try these things. Like they're all about like hacking their body, hacking their systems, like whatever. And so they were always trying to get into a state of flow where they just weren't thinking, they were just doing.
Yeah. How interesting. Well, and it is almost reflexive, and it is a lot like channeling. So like, I guess we could kind of look back at your original question. What is it like? It's like that. It's being in flow.
Mm-hmm. And you're just not thinking. You're just go. Like you just don't even think.
I can feel it when I do tarot readings. If there's resistance somewhere, I struggle. If all of a sudden I feel that channel come through, that it's almost like a shaft of light come through, and I'm like, okay, blah, 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 here's your message. This is what I'm saying. I can almost feel that just take me over, and I say the thing that needs to be said. Yeah. And it's like, oh, fuck, thank God. Usually, like the beginning, it takes you, and in a lot of things, you get a little clunky at the start because you're just getting back into whatever you're doing. Even if you sit down, you've been playing the guitar or piano for 20 years, it still takes you a minute to loosen up your joints, get that back together. And it's the same thing with flow. So often I find like the beginning of my readings or even meditations or anything I'm doing, it starts out a little hesitantly, and then all of a sudden it just goes.
Yep. I've definitely found that too.
Ask your most important questions last is what I'm saying.
Pat over on Twitter says, I have seen the same outstretched arm gestures at Christian evangelist rallies and arenas.
They're up here, like this.
It's almost like the Christians are doing this and they don't realize that they're doing it. Oh my God, no.
I think it just proves that we're beings of energy, and there are natural indicators of giving and receiving energy. And they think, they're like, oh, I feel the spirit. And for them, that saying it that way is okay in that context. But if I was out in the fucking forest going, I feel the spirit, they'd put me away. tell me what the fucking difference is.
No difference.
Mm-hmm.
And fix a problem like that instantly. Boom, 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 and not even think. It's not even a thought process. It's like your orchestra, like an orchestra, like a conductor, and just moving things, and people around them like, how do they figure that out? And how do they do
trying?
this?
There's no trying involved. It's like Yoda said, and the thing that another analogy I use with channeling, it's like if you're trying to channel and you're not getting anything, it's sort of like when you're trying to find your keys.
Stop fucking trying.
You can't find your keys, and you can't find your keys, and then you give up and you sit down and you're like, oh, I get the remote. Oh, there are my keys. Because they were under that pillow that was on the couch that you had to.
I just feel so fucking seen with that. Because there's been something that for months, I've been like, it's been in the back of my head, and I'm like, when is this fucking thing gonna happen? When is this fucking thing gonna happen? When is this fucking thing gonna happen? I've been doing readings about it on the regular, and Spirit's starting to get really pissed at me, and Spirit's going, Karlyn, it's gonna happen when you stop fucking thinking about it and focus on other things.
Yeah, because when you force it,
you're
gonna fuck it up.
Yeah.
You gotta let the thing happen. There's a guy that I love on Instagram, and one of his things is Jesus fix it. And I'm not big into Jesus sayings, but I just love it because he's got a coffee mug that says Jesus fix it. And on the other side it says, because if I do, I'm going to jail.
Yeah. Exactly.
I just love that. Just give it up.
But it's hard though, man, because I know in my head, I'm like, I know if I just give this up, it might actually just facilitate it to happen. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm just not ready to do that yet. All right. I'm not ready yet. And so, I mean, isn't even that my internal block? Are you really ready for this thing? Are you really? Because you're not allowing it to just fucking happen. You keep sabotaging it.
Yeah. Let go. One of my favorite things about trusting a process comes from, of course, me and my movie references. I can't stop myself. The third Indiana Jones movie, I think it was the Holy Grail one. And
the Last Crusade. And he's going through the temple, and there's this chasm in front of him, and it just the riddle is basically the leap of faith. So he just does this and takes a step, and there's a whole bridge for him right there. It just happens to look like the rest of the cavern. It's all painted, it's camouflaged. It's the Fool card.
There you go.
It's the Fool. Wow. Tarot in cinema. Mm-hmm.
Give up to sit down on. And with channeling, as soon as you stop trying, because it's more of an opening up to allow this thing to happen, that those of us who channel still don't totally understand the mechanics of it. We just know that there are times when we're more on than not. So it's a collaboration too. I've done an in-person event where Daryl channeled and other channelers channeled, and it was the biggest in-person one that I've ever been at. So sitting up on a stage with all those people in the audience is a way different experience as a channeler than having someone that you're channeling for over the phone who's in Iowa and you're in Maui or wherever you are. It's just different. And if a person's a skeptic, if a person's sitting there going like this while you're channeling, and they're like, and they're just reading questions, and it's different experience. It's a co-creation, and that's the thing too. Nobody's perfect. So don't expect just because it's channeled, it's some sort of perfection, right? Because everybody has good days and bad days. And like I said, conditions that make it easier for them to channel. And
I'm glad he
other
said
times
that.
When they're feeling more self-conscious or they're.
What are you glad he said?
I'm glad he said that, to kind of have some compassion for your channeler, because there's good days and bad days. And there's days when the circumstances or conditions are more favorable than others. And it could just be your body itself, your attitude, your energy. We go through shit too, So sometimes it's hard to just sweep that aside. And I'm going to be this magnificent spiritual being. Ha ha. Well,
I was thinking about this earlier today. I'm like, we're human beings having we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We are human beings. We are flawed.
Yeah.
And even if you know the right thing to do, you don't necessarily want to make that decision because you are a flawed person and your ego might be involved, and there might be any number of things that happen. Or you just had a bad day and you're in a bad fucking mood and you need to be more higher vibe to be able to do it well. It's just there's any number of things, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
spiritual beings, and I feel like this is slack that like spiritual people don't get, because it's like Christians are allowed to be imperfect. Christians are allowed to act extremely un-Christ-like, and then go to church on Sunday and they feel like, you know, nothing happened and it was all fine. And it's like, if someone like, you know, one of us like makes a mistake or yells at someone or has a bad moment, it's like, you don't actually
I can say you're not a Christian. It's like, well, just fuck you then.
Go fuck yourself.
I'm allowed. I'm allowed.
Suck my dick. I don't really care.
Well, and that's like what
with love.
With love, yeah. What irritates me is the whole like, well, what is it? I think Dave Letterman started it. You'll never see a psychic, or maybe it was what's his name, Johnny Carson, that says psychic wins lottery. You'll never see that headline, and then you get everybody, all the smart asses, going, "Oh, well, how come you never won the lottery if you're so psychic?" And it's like, that's not how it works.
Well, but it's also like, do you understand how many psychics manifest all their clients, and they manifest like everyone coming to their classes and buying they don't need to win the fucking lottery. Like this guy has a website where he has thousands of different meditations and activations and classes that you can download. And the way he sets it up is like, pay whatever you want, and here are these mega bundles. And if you want to pay him more money, you can. And it's like, and some of his he charges like $700 an hour to get a reading with him. Like, I looked into it. I was like, it's like $700 an hour, and I'm like, God. Like, you know, you think the lottery is the only way to make money? This guy lives in Maui. Do you know how much fucking expensive it is to live in Maui?
Oh yeah.
And you know what? And he knows too. I would bet you, if you asked him, he knows he can always manifest money if he needs it.
True.
You know,
that's the other art I need to learn a little bit more of.
Yeah.
But I mean, just give me the winning lottery numbers if you're psychic. I hear that too, and it's like
that's not the way that works.
1, 2, 3. How many numbers in a lottery? 4, 5. There's your winning numbers, jackass.
Yeah. And it's like okay, so and it's probably a Christian that did it, right? And it's like, hey,
you're gonna love this? It was actually a Jew.
Oh, was a Jew? Well, even better.
But
even better.
Christians ask me too. Yeah, the most recent one was a lovely Jewish man.
But it's kind of like, okay, do you want Jesus to just give you all the fish, or do you want Jesus to teach you how to learn to fish so you can fish whenever you want, and you don't need him around to make the giant barrel of fish for you?
Mm-hmm.
Which do you want? Which is going to be better?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, they're worried that this person
lottery
is
low vibe anyway.
Start yelling because they don't like what they're getting as an answer. You know, that the person's like really angry to begin with, angry when they came in to speak to you. And it's like, well, we're sensitive beings too, you know. and like I said, I was a big drinker back in the day, and I've had many blackouts, and I really wish it was like that. I really wish I could just be.
And you'd be like, I'm gone, and I'm like, and I'm back, Well, since we've been talking about channeling for almost an hour now, I think it's time to show people what you can do, sir, as a channel, and ask the beings that come through you a handful of deep questions to see what they come up with. So
yeah, good idea.
I'm waiting now for the show, sir.
And
everybody, you might want to turn your volume down if it's it's already pretty high.
I fucking love this so much.
Greetings. Well, the Victorian Council. Well, please.
The Arcturians.
Arcturian, yes.
Will you? Yes. 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 Hello, Alex.
Hello.
Yes. Wonderful to be here with you and to have this opportunity to chat.
Thank you so much for doing so.
Yes, indeed.
My first question to you is, how do collectives like yourself who want to channel in this world pick the channels or the vessels that they're going to use?
Nice question out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there is a pre-existing arrangement. Sometimes you do have a part of that being who's in the physical who is also in the collective they are channeling. Other times, there are agreements that are made in the astral plane while the human is asleep that did not exist prior to the incarnation, but because that person made certain choices in their life and took themselves down a particular path, they became excellent candidates to be channelers. And there are a host of beings and collectives out there who want to have their voices heard.
I'm starting to get excited,
Karlyn. Also contribute to the great transformation that is happening there on Earth. We all have an agenda when we help you. We want to see you succeed. We want to elevate the consciousness of humanity. And we also know that as you grow and expand, as you evolve and ascend, so do we. We get to reach the next level of our consciousness by helping all that we help. And so it is not an answer where there's only one way that this can happen, but there are several. And you're seeing it, you're seeing all of the different people coming forth and channeling because there are so many ways for those agreements to be forged.
Is that why there's so many more channels now than there were 40 years ago or 50 years ago?
It is. It's because of the asking. So there's more of an asking on Earth at this time for something new, for a transformation. There's so many who have become upset with their religion or religious leaders. There are some who feel lost and are calling out in the middle of the night for something, for some sort of help or some sort of sign. And then when they relax enough, when they open up enough to receive an answer, they get that answer. And sometimes that answer comes in the form of a little voice in their head. And other times that answer comes because they were listening to a song or watching a movie, or they glanced over at a billboard. There's so many different ways people can get those answers, but certainly channeling is one of them.
Can a soul live multiple lives at the same time?
All souls do, because all time really is simultaneous, and every soul is very curious.
Pretty sure you started celebrating too soon.
No.
Don't yell over the Arcturian Council, Karlyn.
I can rewind the Octurians, Jennifer. I'm deeply respectful of the Octurians saying all time is really simultaneous.
Is that what it said? Oh,
yes.
Damn.
All time.
See, I missed that because you're too busy celebrating. Okay, that didn't say it's not real. He said it's simultaneous. That's different. Go away, Reagan.
Time is not real.
Oh, my head hurts. Ow.
Just when you think you're getting through the episode, it never fails. Time is not real.
Even when it's not mentioned, somebody fucking mentions it anyway. It said it's simultaneous. It didn't say it wasn't real.
But that means it's not real. It's not like if you can live multiple things simultaneously, it means everything that has ever happened or will ever happen is happening right now, which means time is not real. Ergo, it is not real. The construct we have of time being linear is not what is going on if we're able to have multiple experiences simultaneously.
There's something in my eye.
I know. Let's listen to the Octurians say this again, just to be really clear.
The first thing I'm going to ask when I start channeling higher beings is, can time be real and not real at the same time? Because
I think that's a great first question, and I'm going to know whether or not you're actually channeling based on what's going to happen is we're going to start to see Jennifer's face contort as the Capricorn in her tries to get out. Jennifer's going to be like, never mind. Fuck channeling. I'm done. Anyway, very respectfully, Octurians again.
Can a soul live multiple lives at the same time?
All souls do, because all time really is simultaneous, and every soul is very curious. Every soul really does want to grow, and even though you as a human don't even want to stub your toe, never mind have a car accident or lose a loved one, the soul wants as many experiences as the soul can get. And so when you get into alignment with your soul, you start living your purpose more. You start to find that there is a path, and that the path that feels the best is the path that you're meant to be on. And so then you're sort of living the truth of the life that you set out to live before you incarnated, because there has to be that forgetting when you incarnate. When you are born, if you knew everything, then you wouldn't be able to have all the emotions that you have. You wouldn't be able to first think that this is all there is, and this is your one lifetime that you get to live, and so you better make it count. You wouldn't be able to have all of those thoughts and feelings and beliefs if you knew everything that you know on that soul level. So really, every individual who is living a life right now ought to be thinking in terms of aligning with their soul, aligning with that intention of the soul, because the soul definitely wants to have particular experiences through you. Yeah. And by the way,
go ahead.
So it makes me think of course, movies, because it's my jam. That experiment with the idea of multiple lives, or living the same day over and over, and that kind of thing. Like there was Groundhog Day, where Bill Murray finally just got so fed up he was just committing suicide, and then he was just being an asshole arbitrarily because none of it mattered, and it took him going through that to finally see the true value in the experiences. Same thing with we just watched last night, husband and I watched Mickey 17, and it's a really cute movie. It's gotten a little poo-pooed, but I enjoyed it. And it's what's his name that played the sparkly vampire? he he plays, it's a futuristic thing where there's a big colony going off to another planet, big bunch of religious extremists, and they developed a printer for human bodies. So every night they download his memory and his feelings and all that stuff. And then if they do, and they basically used him to experiment with toxins, with how fast does it take or how long does it take for a body to die of freezing. They had him, like, they locked him outside of the space shuttle until he experienced radiation poisoning. Like, did all these horrible things to him, and he just would die. And then they reprint him a new body, upload his, his consciousness or whatever, and then he would just be himself again. But the funny thing is that even then, every single Mickey was a little bit different. And so it just makes me think, if we didn't have that sense of finality or singularity, or this was the only time, we wouldn't take it as seriously. Maybe we wouldn't respect it as much. And it's just a really, really fun little movie. It's on HBO Max now if anybody wants to watch it for free. It's very sweet. But yeah, I think it does lend value when we think, this is it, this is the only me, I get this and then I die, and then, and now we have to create things like heaven and hell to keep us in line and blah, 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 blah. So I really like what they just said.
Before people start thinking that they're now mad at their souls, you are your soul. There's no separation in reality between who and what you are and your soul. So that's why you hear people saying in the New Age, you have to accept, you have to go with the flow, you have to surrender. It is because you're really giving in to you. You're giving into your own agenda for coming forth and living a life. It's only when you're fighting it, when you're trying to swim upstream, when you're saying, no, I'm supposed to be a famous actor in this lifetime, and I'm going to keep struggling and trying until I make that happen somehow, instead of settling in to what it is that you can do and what comes easy to you and how you can be of greatest service to others, how you can find love in your heart and compassion through whatever it is you can do. And that can be something as simple as being a cashier. It doesn't have to be that you write a book that millions of people read, or you open a New Age healing center.
Why do we suffer?
Hang on. And that kind of goes back to the whole like lottery question. Is like, why haven't you won the lottery? Okay, the purpose of being here is not actually to win the lottery. It's not actually to be rich, and it's to be of service to other people and service to humanity and all that stuff. And you can do that in a variety of different ways, and it doesn't necessarily mean you end up rich at the end of the day. You can just be like, you can be a school teacher that doesn't suck, that teaches kids how to read. You can can be a cashier that's always in a good mood and always has a smile on your face and always tells a joke to brighten people's day. And it just so happens you maybe brighten the day as someone who like really needed to have their day brightened. Or you think about like Disneyland used to have this policy, maybe they still do, but like if a child is giving like a Disney character a hug, the Disney character has to sit there and hug the child until the child lets go, because you don't know how badly that child needs the hug, right? It's like, money isn't the greatest good.
No. Well, and neither is fame. I mean, I love Jason Momoa, but what has he ever done for me? You know who has more value in my life? My high school English teacher, Dee Talasek. I still remember her name. Loved that woman.
Yeah.
And that had more value to me. Is Jason Momoa highly entertaining? Yes. Will I pay to watch his movies? But I got more out of the person that lent themselves to my experience and creating who I was Dee Talasek, my high school English teacher. So that's the same thing. And same thing with money. And sometimes you are meant to not have it so you can find value elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. So true.
Why is this experience filled with quote unquote bad experiences, bad people, evil situations, bad situations? Why do we suffer in this life?
Because as we said earlier, every soul really does want to have a multitude of experiences. So every soul wants to play the villain and also wants to play the saint. And the soul is doing it simultaneously. The soul doesn't have to experience the villain having their huge transformation to become the saint, because the soul gets to experience both at the same time. Now, as to the question about suffering, suffering is a choice. And when people realize that suffering is a choice, that they're choosing to resist, they're choosing to push against something or someone, and they're not allowing, they're not in the flow, they're not in that place of acceptance, then yes, there is suffering. Now there's loss, and some of that loss, it would be hard to fathom a person not going through some suffering due to a loss of a loved one, especially if that person then thinks it was their fault somehow. So there's all kinds of experiences that as a human being, you cannot imagine why this experience would even exist. Why should that experience exist? It makes no sense. It has only bad associated with it. But on that soul level, you see that if you did lose someone that you loved and you did blame yourself for it, well, then you get to experience the movement from blaming yourself to accepting it, forgiving yourself, actually helping other people who are doing the same thing to themselves. And you as a soul get to have all of those experiences if you take the growth. If you say, there must be something in this for me, and for me has to go beyond the ego sometimes. It has to go beyond getting what you want and go into, how do I grow from this? How is this serving me? How is the raising of my consciousness possible through this? And it is through forgiveness, compassion, unconditional love, all the things that come when you first have an unwanted or so-called negative experience that is there to get you to examine something. You may need to be looking at your life differently. If you break your leg, you might need to slow down. And so you broke your leg and now you have to slow everything down.
Yo, that literally fucking happened to me.
Oh,
that happened to me. So I spoke at South by Southwest in like, this is a big ass conference in like 2017 or 2018. I forget exactly what year it was, but like I gave a great presentation. It was one of my most popular presentations of all time. I gave it in front of a giant room. And at the end of the presentation, I had all these people coming up to me saying, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. You need to write a book. And I was like, yeah, I really do need to write a book. And I've been thinking about it anyway. And so basically what happened is I was leaving the hotel to go to the airport on my way home, and it is like 7 a.m. in the morning, literally tripped over nothing on the sidewalk. There was no reason for me to trip, but I fucked up my ankle really badly. I was caught by some homeless guy, and I was like, and he caught me, and he didn't let me fall all the way down, but like I fucked up my ankle bad. Now, because I am stubborn, I then went to the airport, walked around a whole bunch of different airports on my really bad ankle, then obviously flew with it because I had to fly home, which doesn't actually help when you have an injury that is swelling, because when you fly, you expand,
and it's down underneath, so you can't put it up. So now it's just getting all ooh.
And so by the time I'm like, I get home to the airport, I'm hobbling really bad, and I'm like, well, something is obviously wrong. And so Victor picks me up. He's like, okay, this is a fun experiment. We're going to urgent care now. And then I went to urgent care, and oh, lo and behold, I had broken my fucking ankle, and I had to be in like, not badly, I could still walk on and stuff, but like I had to be in a boot for like 8 weeks, and it really hurt and it really sucked, and it was the worst thing that ever happened. But you know what I did in those 8 weeks? I sat my ass down and I wrote a fucking book. Yep. And that was what needed to happen. Like I literally needed to be just like prevented from doing anything in order to sit my ass down and do what was required.
Sometimes the nature of the injury or illness is the lesson. What is being forced upon you that you would not have done before? Sometimes people need someone to help them physically move. And you need to learn how to trust others.
Yeah,
you know, there's all different kinds of reasons why, you know, people get sick and they're like, no, I don't have time to get sick. You do now, though.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna make time now.
Yep.
Or you have all sorts of fucking Pisces in your life that all test your patience to no end because they're fishes flitting around in the fucking ocean, just like with not paying attention to what anyone else wants in the situation, because you know, and of course as they're swimming around in the ocean, they're overthinking every fucking thing when in fact they just need to do the thing that they want to do anyway, that they refuse to do because they're Pisces and they're having all sorts of fucking feelings about it. Anyway.
So whoever the Pisces is, can we just like all as
there's
a group
multiple Pisces. This is actually the torture of it. There are multiple Pisces.
We need to manifest as a community. These people work it out.
I've actually given up. I've given up on all, well, with the possible exception of one. I've given up on all the Pisces in my life. I really did. I've been doing cord cutting ceremonies the last couple weeks. I'm not dealing with this shit anymore. Like I am done. I am done with your Pisces bullshit where you're constantly pinging my energy and I can feel that shit and I know what you're doing. And then I pull cards and I'm like, oh yeah, he's thinking about you again. He's over fucking thinking this again because he's not doing what he should be doing. It's like, motherfucker.
They're terrible at self-analyzing sometimes.
And you're a lovely person, Daniel, and there are benefits to like I'm not saying Pisces are all bad. You are a lovely person. I'm just saying that Pisces are indecisive and overthinkers and overly emotional and they never take initiative ever. And it's tried my patience.
If it's in their best interest.
I have learned patience in dealing with the multiple Pisces in my life who are behaving like fucking.
If they're going to benefit, and especially if it's an immediate benefit, but they will plot and plan and they will execute. And then it's like, wait a minute, you mean you were sitting doing the flippy floppy thing to keep me distracted? And they're like, well, no, I really wasn't sure if I wanted to do this, but now I do. So there, but by the time they make that decision, it's like stuck in stone and there's no changing their minds after that. And they don't care who they take down with them. No offense, Daniel. We love you.
Everyone has their things. I'm an Aries, okay? Jennifer's a Capricorn. We know people have different signs have their things.
Oh yeah.
Now you have to receive help from other people. These might be things that you don't want to do from that ego mind level.
How do we overcome the fear that we walk around with in our lives?
You first of all feel it. You recognize that as a soul, you don't just want to feel happy and love and peace all the time. As a soul, you want the full spectrum. You want to taste all the flavors so that you can become the best chef.
Aww,
and that means that you have to allow these certain emotions to be what they are. You don't have to transmute fear. You don't have to transform fear. Fear is what it is. Think of it as a ball of energy, and it's a ball of energy that you intersect with at a certain point where now you're experiencing that aspect of source. So you have a choice in that moment. You can fear the fear. You can get angry because you were told that you're supposed to be brave at all times because you're a man in society and men shouldn't be afraid ever. You can judge yourself, you can judge the fear, or you can embrace it. So that's something else you hear a lot in the New Age. You hear people talking about embracing this and embracing that. You embrace the fear, you actually get curious about what it feels like, and you allow it to be what it is. And guess what? Then the little ball of energy moves right through you. It doesn't stick around. It doesn't stick around in children very often. When a child is sad or a child is afraid, they can easily process that emotion more quickly because they don't have ideas about the emotion itself. They haven't set up a bunch of beliefs and thoughts about emotions and the way they should be feeling in that situation. So they're just allowing it to pass right through them, and then before you know it, they're off playing again. So one thing you can always do with fear is you can tune into where you feel it in your body. It's most likely to be felt in one or more chakra. And then you can breathe into that chakra, breathe into that fear with that intention of, all right, fear, now is your moment. This is your day in the sun where you get to shine. And I'm going to feel you as completely as anyone has ever felt fear. And then your time with the fear will be over. The fear can move on. You'll have a clearing.
Interesting.
You'll feel more clear.
Yeah, but I'll just make more.
In that state where you can.
I don't like the idea of this. I'm feeling uncomfortable with this because, like, I know I'm like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to feel the fear to that degree, Daniel. I just don't.
I'll just make more of it.
I don't know if I would make more of it, but like, I feel like, you know, I mean, it also, but it probably is one of those cases where like the anticipation of like, oh, how bad is this going to be? Really, it's actually worse, the anticipation and the thinking about it and the worrying about it, than actually just facing the fear and just experiencing it for a moment. And then, okay, we're done now. Go away.
Yeah, it's for me, like the anxiety of what we're about to embark on. I have to let it just happen in small doses. Like, okay, this is how that is. And I let myself, let it pass through me. And I'm working on that skill. I haven't fully let it hit me. And I'm thinking probably I should wait until after where we've left. And then all of a sudden I'm finally going to let it hit me. And then I'm going to cry for about 3 days. And, you know, but it's like I'm hitting little tiny waves and I just go, it's like breathing through a cramp, ladies. You know what I mean? You just kind of let it until it just lets go. And then you go, okay, I was doing the dishes. Let's get back to that, you know?
So you got to work on manifesting this house. Like this is a good practice project for you. Can you like visualize the house and everything that the house and like whatever you want, like the lawn, the land, like the beautiful property with beautiful views, like whatever. And then you just like, how would I feel if I was in there? How's it going to feel looking out the window? How's it going to feel like out in the garden or whatever you're going to do? And you just like sit in those feelings. And that's how you manifest it. Is you have to put yourself in the state of, here is how I would feel and here's the vibe I'd be at if I already had this thing, and it's already done. You don't even need to worry about it. It's perfect and it's beautiful, and that's how you attract the energy of it. Yeah,
the visualization is really important for me. And I know when I was manifesting my husband, and I had tried for a while, many, many years, and the answer I finally got was, he's not here yet. And what that meant was he was living in a different state. So they said, stop looking. We'll let you know when he's here. And then a few years later, it's like, yeah, he's here, but he's with someone else. It's like, okay, he was married at the time. So it just took a process. So I started tuning, instead of going, where's my mate? I'm lonely. Nobody loves me. I just went, okay, what's the process here? And that's kind of what I'm going to start I don't have the mental bandwidth to do it right now because I'm trying to publish 2 books. But I have set a deadline for me to, I know this is very Capricorn-y, it is what it is, for me to go, okay, time to switch modes from author to, you know, person who is going to move and manifest. And that is, I'm going to start doing that little bits at a time. Okay, the house is not on the market yet. That's why you're not feeling the resonance of it, you know, which is what I'm being told right now. So, but just start looking, because now it's giving me a clearer idea so I can envision what I want. And that's true for like anything you guys want. Sometimes it's not in your life because it's not available for you yet. Calm the fuck down. It'll be there, you know?
I have a hard time with that, as you can tell by the weekly Pisces rants.
Exactly. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is a skill to hone and something that is comforting if you can work on it.
Everything comes in its own best time, whatever.
What about my time, damn it?
What about my time? Just because I say time isn't real every single show doesn't mean I don't want what I want now, because I am an Aries and I'm tired of it right now. I've already moved on to other things in my head. It needs to be over. We are burning down. If they aren't going to come willingly, we are burning down the fucking wall. We are burning the cord. I've taken a blowtorch. I can't do it anymore.
The band has stopped playing. We're done.
Yeah, the gate has come down. Like, I left it open for a while, but you just didn't show up, bro.
Sometimes the answer is no, you know?
Sometimes the answer is no, and that's just the way it goes. Hey, we'll live 1,000 more lifetimes, and we'll probably have to repeat this lesson again. because you were stubborn and you didn't do what I wanted you to do, Pisces. We're going to repeat a whole fucking other lifetime. We're going to have to repeat a whole nother lifetime for this fucking lesson because you couldn't send a fucking message.
Yeah, I've got my two Pisces and I aren't done square dancing either, which makes me upset. Even with the cord cutting rituals, I'm like, I know as soon as we go back up into the ether and when we go home, we're going to be like, oh, that was fun. What a great roller coaster. Let's do it again. And then I'm going to hate it the next time too.
It's just like, and maybe I wouldn't be so sensitive if there weren't multiple of them swimming around me. I'm just like, can I just like, this is spirit saying
you're surrounded.
You always jump off the deep end first. And so we're just going to give you multiple, you need to learn patience. And so we're going to give you multiple Pisces around you that you all need from.
You said you want to learn it now. So here you go. Learn it now.
Yeah, congratulations. Here you go.
Here's 5 of them. Like, enjoy.
Fuck you.
What's that? You brought it on yourself? Oh no.
Yeah, what's that? I have to take responsibility because I manifested this shit? Oh. God.
Actually choose then what you want to feel after the fear. So again, part of this journey for all of you is movement. Moving from fear to love is a journey. And you get to take that journey once the fear is felt. You get to gradually climb your way back up to what is your truth, what is your essence, which is love.
Do we all have a destiny or a purpose when we incarnate?
Yes, you do. Yeah. Everything is purposeful. Everything is about wanting to have a particular type of experience. And every soul knows what they're getting into when they enter into a life. They even look at it. They're able to watch it like a silent film before taking the body on. That will give them that experience. Now, that doesn't mean that every moment of...
Say more about that.
No, I said I haven't heard that before. I think that's fascinating. So you get to watch it in like a silent film. I'm going to guess that he doesn't... Well, I can already see preordained scripted. Yeah, because it doesn't... just because you're getting a preview doesn't mean you're getting the details. And there are certain things, and I do think certain things have to happen, like you have to hit these plot beats in your life, but all the ways of the coming and going of them aren't necessarily scripted. Like, I love that I used the word scripted. That's great.
I mean, so, I think I agree because we have free will. So like we can take ourselves off the path too. I don't think it's like at 35 you will do X and at 40 you will do Y. That's not what it is, because people take themselves off path all the time, and then if things suck enough, they eventually learn enough to go back in the right direction, or their life just continues to suck and get harder for no good reason.
There's when you're plotting a fictional story, there are different kinds of ways to do that. I'm partial to the 3-act structure, but there is a rigid save the cat thing that it's like on page 25 this, on page 72 this.
Oh,
it's
wow.
Like very rigid. But it's more for screenplay writing than actual novel. But there's a lot of them that say between pages 20 and 25 this event needs to happen, this plot point needs to happen. So like I said, there's a structure to writing a story, and we do that to manage our pace so we don't bore people to death or overwhelm them. So same thing I think with planning your life. But as a writer, if you let go of what page that needs to happen on and you just plan for it, the event happens, and then you come down from it, you move on to the next plot point. I think that's more accurate. So, okay, go ahead. I'm done.
By the way, you just said like screenwriting, and that reminded me of something. I don't know if you keep up with, well, you don't keep up with AI stuff. I tell you about AI stuff. So, what is it? Google AI just released a new version of like their AI video creator. And Jennifer,
I heard about this.
It's fucking incredible. And I'm like, it's like $125 a month for like a special deal. It's $250 a month normally. I'm like this close
or something.
Well, I'm like this close to signing up for it. I'm like, I wonder if I can make my Communist Manifesto book into a movie using this, because there are places that are doing it, because it does dialogue, it can do like the characters like looking similar once you mess around with the prompts for a little while. I've got some weird animated thing in my head that I'm thinking about too. It's kind of like reminiscent of like the cover of the book, like that I want to do. And so I'm like, I wonder if I can use this to actually make a movie out of my book. That would be fucking cool.
I would say like wait till the price comes down, because once it becomes prevalent, it's gonna only be like $20 a month. You can do a feature film.
Well, yeah, I mean maybe, but like you know, I mean,
8 seconds is not a lot. You need at least 30 minutes if you're gonna do some of that.
I don't think it's just 8 seconds. I think like the things I've seen, it's like they have examples of people actually creating short movies with this thing.
I've seen a couple, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like it's cuts from here to there.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Oh my God. Do you know this? I'll tell you what, Hollywood better get its shit together, because what AI is doing for what it did for the music industry, for art, what it's doing for writing. I mean, there's still going to be protests and people get jumping up and down about it. But here it comes, movie industry.
Get ready. And it's going to be better than a lot of the humans you have, because guess what? The colleges are graduating people that don't know how to read and write.
True.
So if you think like movies need screenwriters, TVs need screenwriters, and AI is probably going to be better than many human beings.
Well, because it's going to probably be built and written by people who actually give a shit and understand the source material and don't go off on a bunch of weird fantastical crap like they did. I'm looking at you, Wheel of Time. And the Last of Us and every other freaking IP that they've ruined.
Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that Amazon Amazon has like it'll read your audiobook now, because a friend of mine set that up.
It's not available to all writers.
Oh, that might be
in an experimental testing program stage right now, and I've got 2 of my pro girls that I work with. Of the 6 of us now pros, one of my Calvin, he just published his book.
Oh, good. Congratulations, Calvin. Yay, Calvin.
So check out, it's called Storm Chronicles, the Tyrus Campaign. Okay, there it is, by Calvin. Oh my God, Hammond. I'm like, oh, if I forget his name, it's so bad. Yeah, so go check it out. It's new on Amazon, pre-orders now. I think the paperback's gonna be available in a couple of days. But anyway, so of the 6 of us, 3 have gotten the invitation to participate. I am not one of them. I don't know, but they keep adding people, because like one of them got the invitation several months ago. The other one just did like a month ago. So it's like they're slowly picking people and say, do you want to participate in the AI test for this?
Yeah.
I would tell you, voice actors are expensive.
Oh, I know. And a friend of mine, he wrote this awesome book about Thomas Paine. His name is Dave Benner. He just announced on Twitter, like, oh, the audiobooks for all of my books are available now. And I was like, how the fuck did you do that? Did you record? Because I mean, these are really long books. And he's like, no, they just let me do it on the side. I was like, that's pretty cool, actually.
Nice. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Your life is preordained and scripted, because you have free will and you get to make decisions at various decision points in that life. And that's what none of us knows for sure you're going to do. We don't know. We can't tell you the one future, because everyone gets to decide whether they choose love or fear, whether they go left or right, whether they choose film school or to become a corporate lawyer. It really depends on whether they're following their guidance, they're following their feelings, their intuition. And this is something else you hear a lot about in the New Age, but it's like that for a reason. It's because it's important to follow one's bliss and to listen to that little nudge that you're getting from within, because it's either your guides or your higher self or your soul. It's some aspect of you or a team that's really looking out for you, that's trying to get you to move in a direction that's going to be part of that purpose. It's going to help you fulfill that mission that you had before you started out. And a mission doesn't mean that it's something you do for 40 years or 50 years. It can be something very simple. It can be, I want to go forth and I want to have 3 children and I want to raise those children and I want to have grandchildren. It's different for every soul, because everything that you can imagine is. And so, as we said before, souls like variety and souls crave experience. So of course, there's going to be people who are interested in bugs even though most people aren't
True.
interested in bugs, but some people really want to study those insects.
What happens to a soul once it's done with an incarnate, when it's done with a life?
There is a moment of feeling free. There is a moment when a soul realizes that they have died. And sometimes it takes longer for some than others. Some are more prepared for it. You've probably heard the stories of people in India who say, I'm dying Thursday at 4 o'clock. You can come if you want to. And so, of course, their transition into that next realm, that next dimension, is going to be a lot easier than someone who has a sudden car accident and doesn't really know what to expect when they do die. So people tend to get what they expect
go like Yoda
after they die. And if they don't...
Oh, do you hear what he just said? People tend to get what they expect after they die. I feel like we talked about this.
Yeah, we have. I'm going to go like Yoda. I'm going to just be like, time for forever sleep. And just like, yeah, but just poof, off I go. And then see everybody at the big train station in the sky.
Yep.
Expect anything. If they don't know, or if they believe that that's when everything ends, is the end of the life, then they're going to be in for a bit of a surprise. They're going to have experiences that at first also don't make sense. They also will think, this can't be real. I must be imagining this. But eventually they come around to, no, I have died. This is it. And then that being, which is really just an aspect of the whole soul, because the whole soul, of course, knows that this is the time to release from that body, but it's an aspect of the soul that then goes on and meets with ancestors and people they knew during the life that passed on before them, and they meet with guides, and they go and they have this big family reunion where they talk about what just happened and how it could have...
I'm gonna be so mad at some of the people that I know I'm gonna see. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna walk up and like punch them in the face, be like, fuck you. I know I chose this.
Okay.
But...
You're new to death. You're gonna get over it in like 3 seconds. I'm gonna be like, where's the bar?
Yeah.
I had a friend whose mother was passing away, and this was someone from my church, and we didn't believe in heaven. We believed in the kingdom. We would be resurrected in the kingdom of God.
Yep.
So she was passing away in the hospital, and he went and was by her bedside holding her hand, and she goes, I think I'm ready now. I'll see you in the kingdom. And then she just died. Like,
wow.
She controlled it to the last second. I'm like, that's powerful.
That's crazy.
So cool.
Have gone differently, and they could have made different choices and that sort of thing.
And what do you think about what's happening in the world today?
It's perfect.
Aww.
The world is perfect as it is, because, as we said, you need to have certain experiences to get you to grow. So what you're seeing in the world is you're seeing that everyone has something they're focused on. For some people, they're concerned about the environment. For other people, they're concerned about the economy. For other people, they're concerned that there's too much religion being crammed down people's throats. And other people think, well, the problem is there's not enough religion being crammed down people's throats. So everyone has a different concern, something that they think is the problem with the world. And it's not the problem with the world. It's their challenge. It's the thing that they wanted to work on, the thing they wanted to master.
Oh,
and so
100%.
Even getting to that place where you can accept things as they are as a human being, you've now taken something that you once saw as a problem with the world, and you've realized, oh, that was there to get me to release my resistance to it, so I could feel that relief, so then I could see that there is a better future for all of us, for all of humanity. There is a better future. And this condition right now, this experience we're all having collectively, is getting us to choose that better future, to choose a reality where everyone is treated fairly, where everyone has enough, where everyone can coexist in peace, where everyone's living in harmony with earth and with animals. And those sorts of things are what people are now deciding they want because of the state of the earth as it is today.
And do you have any final messages for our audience?
Everyone has a heart. Everyone is capable of love. Everyone is capable of loving something or someone. Everyone is capable of finding the love within themselves that exists always as that spark of divinity. Spend some time every day. Tune into your heart. Ask yourself, honestly, what is it that I love? What is it that I love to do? What is it I'm feeling called to do when I tune in to this organ that's right there beating at all times, trying to get my attention? When I drop down from my head and into my heart, what's causing my heart to sing? What is it that I'm here to do, that I can feel the calling? Because I know when I'm doing it, I feel more love, I feel more expansion, I feel more peace, I feel timeless. Tune into that more so than your head, and you'll make your shift in consciousness right now, because that's what the shift in consciousness that people are talking about is really all about. And everyone has a chance to do it in every moment of every day. Take the opportunity you've given yourselves, and you will change your lives and you will change your world dramatically.
Thank you so much for this conversation, my friend. I really, truly appreciate it.
Yes, we are the Arcturian Council, and we have enjoyed connecting with you.
How are you doing, brother?
I don't know why I was nervous for this interview, because
I mean, you've done it a couple times.
I don't have to do anything.
I'm assuming you've done this a few times in your life. You shouldn't be nervous.
I love it. It's the best. It really is I know I chose it, but I still feel lucky.
Yeah.
I still feel like I get to do this,
Sure.
Like people, they come to me and they tell me how much it means to them, and I don't always let it sink in either. I'm one of those people who is like deflecting all the time, like all the praise. But man, I don't know what to say. I'm so happy I get to do it.
Daniel, this has been such an eye-opening and wonderfully raw conversation about the art of channeling and what you guys do. And it's not a conversation that happens often. So I do truly appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your experience with everybody. And now I'm going to ask you those few questions that I'm sure you know.
Oh, yeah.
I ask all my guests.
I do know.
What is your definition of living a fulfilled life?
I want to be present. I want to be present with whatever I'm doing and whomever I'm with. And, I work a lot, and then I spend time with my child and my wife, and I just want to be there completely with them and be able to relax and enjoy the moment that I'm in. That's, I think, and I was going to say, this is my answer, this is for me. But now I think that really is something that's good for everyone. I do think it's really, we've got to be present. We've got to let go of the tendency to focus on past and future all the time.
What is your definition of God?
I think that the best way to define God is how we could experience God, which is through love. I don't think that we could really put words to what God is. We could talk about God for a couple hours too, but we get to, as humans, connect by feeling God as love in ourselves. And I think that if you do that, if you set out to do that, then you know God. Then you can say, yeah, I know God. I love that flower over there.
And what is the ultimate purpose of life?
To live it, to have experiences, to grow from those experiences, to make choices, and to create. You're a creative guy. I mean, that's how we get to be God. is through our creations. We get to take,
wow.
they were talking about like tasting all the different foods so you can be a better chef. Like that's what we're doing essentially, is we're having all these experiences so we can put different ones together and create something new. And I think that if you have any sort of creative outlet, then it's great because it's the purpose.
And where can people find out more about you and the work that you're doing?
I have a website. It's my name, danielscranton.com. I'm on YouTube, and I've got thousands of videos on YouTube that I post to. I post new ones usually 5 days a week, and those are the two main places. I'm on Instagram and Facebook too, if people want to find me there.
And do you have any final messages for our audience?
Well, we talked a lot about channeling here today, and I want people to know that I was 38 when I started channeling. Lee Carroll was 43 when he started channeling. Your recent guest, Yvonne, I think 47 or 46 when she started channeling. You don't have to be seeing ghosts when you're 6 and then be like, I always knew. You don't have to be that person. I've heard that person be interviewed too, and it's great that God wants to have that experience too, but it's not meant for the few. It's meant for the willing and those who are open. And if you really want to experience something different than like everyday life, it's available to you no matter where you are in your journey right now.
Daniel, man, I appreciate you, and thank you so much for this lovely conversation. I hope it helps some people around the world, my friend. I appreciate you.
Yay! Another successful Daniel night, Jennifer.
He never disappoints. Love the
He
Daniel.
really doesn't. He's awesome. Like, he's just so good. I just love it. I always have like different moments where I feel completely and totally fucking seen. And I'm like, yeah, needed to hear that. Yeah, needed. Like when he said like like being creative, like you're God when you're being creative. I was like, damn, that was cool.
Yeah, well, I always kind of felt that the end game for our spiritual journey and enlightenment was to become a creator ourselves. Not like I don't want to get like all weird and Mormon and go like, yeah, we're all going to be gods or anything like that. But I mean, we don't really understand what God is anyway. But I think divine source, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not saying we're going to go be that, but I do think we're going to help co-create whatever comes next, and or maybe we'll come help and co-create here and help the other people here. We don't know, but that's what Ascended Masters coming back down is all about.
Yeah. And I mean, that's how what it's like in the astral plane, right? Like you are a creator. If you think of it's like instant manifesting. It's like, manifesting in the real world takes time because we have this stupid, ridiculous idea that time is a real thing. And so we think in linear ways. And so we think, this can't just show up.
It's like acting like a speed
well,
bump.
no. It's just being linear is wrong. But like but that's the conception we have of it. And so if we're manifesting something in the real world, we have to give it time. Like give it time. Okay. But in the astral plane where we know it's not real, boom.
Or 1,000 years have passed and you don't know it.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know.
The fight continues, and I will be victorious because I'm the #1 sign of the Aries. And
I don't think there's any winning this. There is no winner. Both things can be true.
The Aries of the zodiac. Okay, well, whatever. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, Jennifer. I don't want to argue with you about time anymore. We'll just wait until next week when we inevitably watch another video in which they say time is not real in the video, and I will be victorious again. And you will have to admit that I'm right, and it's going to be great because it's going to be your week next week, so it's going to be your video.
I think I'm going to do something with chakras.
I think it's great.
About the chakra system and everything. Other announcements are movie night. We are moving into Jolly June Pride Month, everybody. So I've got a slew of very fun movies. We've got Junior, Tootsie, The Danish Girl, Mrs. Doubtfire, and my Mama Fire's birthday request, The Birdcage.
Oh my lord. Okay, fine. It's gay movie month in the Discord. It's not my fault. It's just the theme.
Cross-dressing. We have a pregnant guy in Junior. We have some cross-dressing, and The Danish Girl, of course, is about the actual first medical trans person.
It's actually a really good movie.
Really good movie, actually. Yeah, very tragic, and I wish more people would watch it for a dose of reality, if I'm being honest. And then let's see what Max got coming for.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Max Gemini June. Oh dear.
Gemini June.
Gemini June, he's starting it off with a banger, The Passion of the Christ.
Yo, okay, I'm actually really excited about this. Okay, I'm excited to watch The Passion of the Christ. I'm definitely going to come to this one because that's a great movie, and I love, as you know, I love torture porn. That's just like one of my movie things. And there is no torture porn movie that is better than The Passion of the Christ.
I love that movie. I think it is so interesting. It's got a stellar cast back when they were just little budding dudes that were willing to do stuff like show their butt, you know. So
it is a beautiful movie too. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully done.
Yeah, and then and soundtrack is phenomenal. I actually own that soundtrack, and I love. It's very Middle Eastern and spiritual sounding, and I just love listening to it. It's fantastic.
Cool. All right. Well, everyone, make sure you're in the supporter Discord. You can go there by going to my Substack, signing up as a member, get verified in the Discord. You can come and join us for movie nights on Sunday and Monday night. And we do have a very special, start of a very special series of spy streams I'm going to be doing that I'm not going to talk about publicly right now, but that will also start on Monday, and it's going to be great. So make sure you come into the Discord. I can tell you there what it is. And we'll see you guys. I guess that's all we have for tonight. That was a 4-hour show. No big deal.
That's really long. I'm exhausted. I want to eat and go to bed.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right. Well, happy Tuesday, Jennifer. Happy Tuesday, everyone. We'll see you guys next time. And that's all we got, guys. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.